Shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ bless. My name is Brother Zerubbabel.
My name is Ezra Salazar.
We're with Children of Israel, and we are back once again on the Sabbath day to bring out a lesson to you. Like to just, wish everyone a blessed Sabbath day and, get right into it. The name of this lesson today, in the last days, perilous times shall come. Um, Looking at everything that's been going on since this so-called holiday season has come upon us, um, it should be apparent to people that we are living in dangerous times right now, perilous times, as the scriptures tells us. If this isn't a wake-up call for you, as far as whether or not you should be celebrating Christmas and celebrating these holidays during this so-called holiday season, Lord's will, after this lesson, it will wake some of you up, because I don't know how many other lessons people got to do. That we're not the only ones teaching online. There are a lot of people teaching lessons online, whether they're posting videos or they're out in the streets teaching, or they're teaching, at home in the classroom, whatever the case is, that are constantly putting out videos about why we shouldn't be celebrating these holidays that the world celebrates, why we should be not celebrating, separating ourselves from the ways of the world. People have, throughout this holiday season, there are many videos we've done them on, Christmas and why we shouldn't be celebrating Christmas and New Year's and things like that. Um, it should be clear. You really, at this point, shouldn't even need anybody to even have to tell you that these holidays are of the devil. And if you don't believe it, just take a look around and watch the news during this holiday season. And it should be real clear to you that Christ has nothing to do with these holidays. The Most High has nothing to do with these holidays. And we're going to show you that, there's a lot of wickedness going on throughout this so-called holiday season. But yet people still will talk about Jesus, the reason for the season, which is a lie. Jesus isn't the reason for the season. Christ isn't the reason for the season. You've got to get all this worldliness out of your mind. Got to let that stuff go. Christmas, Halloween, Thanksgiving, what's coming up, tomorrow is New Year's, so-called New Year's Eve, right? New Year's Day is so-called New Year's Day Monday. We know it's not the New Year's Day. We know when the actual New Year's Day is in springtime, during the time just before Passover. According to the Bible, that's the New Year's. The New Year doesn't start in the wintertime, but according to the times that have been changed by the wicked, according to them, their calendar, the New Year is tomorrow night at 12 midnight. The sad part about that is that no matter how much of lies that have been put out, been taught to our people, the truth is coming out to our people. Many of our people are still going to be out tomorrow night celebrating New Year's Eve, having a good time, getting drunk, getting high, fornicating, committing adultery. There's going to be a whole lot of thievery and other kinds of crimes going on tomorrow. You know what I mean? And it's all throughout the season. It's on a daily occurrence now that these things are happening. So when the scriptures tells us in the last days perilous times shall come, it's not exaggerating. That was a prophecy that we're seeing come to fruition right before our very eyes, and people choose to ignore it. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Again, the name of this lesson: of the last days, perilous times shall come. Share screen. Let me know when you can see it.
It's coming. There it is.
All right. So I'm just going to go over some news flashes, some news stories that have happened just, over what the so-called Christmas holiday. That if these stories don't open your eyes to the fact that Christmas is of the devil and that we shouldn't be celebrating, I don't know what else anybody can say to you or show you or, do to wake you up. All right. So everybody's probably heard about this story already. The Leon Valley Police Department, this is in Texas, had listed both as missing and was investigating leads to try to find them. The family of Matthew Guerra confirmed that police told them both Matthew and Savannah Nicole Soto, who was pregnant, were found dead inside a vehicle. So if you don't know the story, this young 21, 22-year-old guy, his 18-year-old so-called girlfriend, disappeared on Friday last week. She was due to have her baby. They were going to induce her labor. She didn't show up to the hospital. Her family got frantic. His family got frantic. They were looking for them, trying to find them, and went to the apartment. Nobody there. Went to the police department. Police department sat on their hands. Didn't really want to do much about it until someone, and they still haven't said who it is that told them. Somebody anonymously contacted one of the families and told them that the car that they owned was parked in the back of a apartment complex. So they go to the apartment complex. One of the family members opens up the door, finds the both of them. I guess I got to use the wording that they use on YouTube now, so you don't get in trouble on YouTube. Unalived.
Right.
It just sounds so stupid. In the vehicle. All right. So both persons, the 9-month pregnant 18-year-old, her 22-year-old so-called boyfriend was, from what the news stories are coming out now, he was found in the back seat with his pants off. So whatever the case is, somebody was trying to embarrass him. But of course, over the week, more and more has come out about the background of the individuals that were found in the car. Lord's will, they find the people that did it. There's a video, if you've been following the news story that's come out, where they've shown what they've calling two people of interest, which is probably three from me watching the video. It looks like there's somebody else in the truck. I don't know if you've seen that at all.
No.
Yeah, so they've actually come out with the people that are maybe they might have. Let me see. Let me go to the news stories. All right, I'll go ahead and read it. So this is so-called Christmas. There's a pregnant 18-year-old and her boyfriend were found dead Tuesday afternoon in the medical center area of San Antonio after a 2-day search. A family member told KENS5. The Leon Valley Police Department had listed both as missing and was investigating leads to try to find them. The family of Matthew Guerra confirmed that police told them both Matthew and Savannah Nicole Soto, who was pregnant, were found dead inside a vehicle. Police later said in a report that both of the victims were found with a gunshot wound, and family members said they were shot in the head. An official cause of death has yet to be determined, but the investigation has been categorized as a capital murder case. Police also said an unborn child was dead. There are two people in the car. They are deceased, San Antonio Police Chief William McManus said Tuesday. We believe it is the missing woman and her boyfriend. The medical examiner has positively identified Matthew Guetta. What happened? Yeah, that's weird. You see how that just suddenly just
Skip.
changed? All right. Wow. All right. It says an official. Let me go back up. It looks like something popped up. It says the family member told the Leon police.
Your audio went out. Can't hear you no more. There you go. I'm gonna wait for him to come back. Can you hear me?
Hello. All right, you back?
Yeah, it was all
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I just so how much got cut out?
um when it started scrolling on its own up and down.
All right, so pretty much a lot of it got cut out. All right, let me share my screen again.
Yeah, there it is.
All right, so apologize for the connection. Don't know what happened, but um, basically, what we're talking about is this situation with this pregnant 18-year-old teenager and her 22-year-old boyfriend, so-called, that disappeared just before the Christmas holiday. They were found, uh, their bodies found in a vehicle abandoned behind an apartment complex, and just showing how the last days perilous times shall come. And this is a perfect example of what the scriptures is talking about. And as I was saying at the beginning, this should be a wake up call for a lot of people, especially among the so called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You are the Israelites the Bible speaks of. That shouldn't be engaging in these holidays. We shouldn't be engaging in these activities of the world because it's a life and death thing for our people. And, and everybody in general, really. But for our people, if you want to get the kingdom, you shouldn't be engaging in this stuff. And so, as the week has gone on, more and more has come out about this news story, um, such as his um, social media presence. Showing that he was openly on Telegram as and it looked to me from what I've seen, he wasn't a small time dealer. He was obviously engaged in call some heavyweight, flashing the drugs, flashing the money, openly putting out on social media that his store was open. One of his last posts during the week on Telegram was that he had a shipment coming in, hit him up. He always posted pictures of what he was selling, pictures of him holding money and guns. And so in reality, he had himself caught up in some not so good things, um, sadly, which looks like is somewhat what may have got him his girlfriend, and their unborn baby unalived. I don't like using that word, but it seems that for whatever reason, YouTube is, cracking down on people using certain words, and
Right.
this is what people have come up with to get around it. Um, so it's a sad situation. Again, a perfect example of when the Bible says in the last days perilous times shall come. It's telling the truth. So let me see if I can find the video. Uh, uh, um, really quick. Slow down. Yeah, so what I'm looking for right now, I'm trying to see if I can find the video that they showed of these what they're calling people of interest that are in this video. Um, all right. You may not hear any audio because we've been having problems with our audio for whatever reason. So let me back it up. So you can see basically what this is they said that this was very close to where the car was found with the bodies inside. The officer that did the press conference was alluding to the fact that he didn't want to outright say it, but that they believe that the bodies were already in the car at the time of this meetup. That whoever this is getting out of the truck, which is a really big, heavy set person, from what it looks like to me, is that it's a female that gets out of the car. He turns around. Someone inside the truck hands him a towel, and he hands it to the person in the car, which the police officer that did the press conference is, basically, again, alluding to the fact that they may have been using the towel to wipe down the car, is what, may have been going on. And then they separate, which at this point, I'm going to guess that they went and drove the car over to the parking spot and left the car there. All right, with the bodies inside. So this may very well be like just before they abandoned the car, which I believe they were already dead in the car. We can't confirm it, can't prove it, but looking at the video evidence, that's what it's looking like. All right, so I'll play the video. You can see the guy getting out the truck, goes out to the car. You will see that somebody hands him that towel like about right here. See, you see that? Can you see it, Ezra?
Yeah.
He gets back into the vehicle and they pull off. This is all right. They're slowing it down. That's good. So you can see the person that gets up out of the vehicle appears to be a female. Somebody hands the towel over. He goes and grabs it. He gets back in the vehicle. Let's watch it again. They show it over and over, it looks like on this one.
No. We don't know what's going on, but we'll wait for him to come back.
Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So where did it cut out at? I'm starting to think that YouTube is doing this on purpose. I was watching another group that they were having a guest on the other night, and the guest was having the same problem where he just kept getting kicked off of YouTube for whatever reason. They had to cancel their show. Um, I'm wondering, is YouTube doing this stuff on purpose?
Right. They cut out where they slowed the video down.
All right. So already moved on to something else. I didn't even realize. But you did get to see the video.
Yeah.
All right. So in the video, you can see these persons of interest. Um, like I was saying, Lord's will, they find the people that did this. But again, this is just being used as an example, as a warning to our people that we need to cut this stuff out. We need to separate ourselves from the things that are going on in this world, from all this wickedness and evil. What I was doing is I was trying to move on to another one. So I don't know if you've seen this one about the 14-year-old that killed his sister because he got into an argument with his older brother. I guess the older brother was like 15 or 16 years old, about who was getting the most Christmas presents. The sister tried to intervene and he shot and killed his sister. All right, so let me see. I'll click on this one. Can you see it?
Yes.
All right. So Florida teen allegedly shoots, kills sister after fight over Christmas gifts. Over a fight over Christmas gifts. Keep
Mm.
that in mind. A 14-year-old boy allegedly fatally shot his older sister in Florida after a family argument over Christmas presents, officials said Tuesday. The teen had been out shopping on Christmas Eve with Abrielle Baldwin, his 23-year-old sister, as well as his mother, 15-year-old brother, and sister's children, Pinellas County Sheriff Bob Gutierrez said during a news conference. The teenage brothers got into an argument about who was getting more Christmas presents. They had this family spat about who was getting what and what money was being spent on who, and they were having this big thing going on in the store, Gutierrez said. The boys continued to argue at their grandmother's house in Largo, a city about a half hour's drive from Tampa, Gutierrez said. They'd gone there so the grandmother could babysit Baldwin's baby boy and her 6-year-old son while Baldwin was at work. Once inside, the 14-year-old boy allegedly pulled out a semi-automatic handgun, pointed it at his brother, and told him he was going to shoot him in the head, Gutierrez said. The older teen said he didn't want to fight and told his brother to get out of the house. One of their uncles separated the teens and got the 14-year-old boy outside where Baldwin was with her baby. You all need to leave that stuff alone, Baldwin said to her brother, according to Gutierrez. Why are you trying to start it? It's Christmas. The 14-year-old boy called his sister several derogatory words and told her he was going to shoot her and her baby. He allegedly shot her in the chest around 1:45 p.m. local time. The baby, who was in a carrier, was not injured, Gutierrez said. So why did I choose these two stories? Okay. One, because they have our people. In the one story, you Northern Kingdom, and this story, of course, is Judah. I don't know if this one has their pictures, but it was, they're Judah. All right. And in both stories, there's babies involved. Babies involved to show you how callous, careless, reckless, wicked, and evil this young generation of kids have become and people have become. Just like what happened in Central California. What was it? Was it last year during the summertime where the dudes broke into the home? The brother was in the closet calling the cops. They shot and killed, the uncles, the grandmother, the mother, and and so on. The young girl who had her baby in her arms, you could see the video, was running outside with the baby, threw the baby over the fence, trying to run and get away, trying to protect her kid. And the guy caught up with her and didn't care, shot her and her baby in the face.
Right.
As the scripture says, in the last days, perilous times shall come. It's no joke. There is some serious evil, some serious wickedness going on in this world, and it all is attributed to these holidays people are following, because these holidays are not of God. They're of the devil. And you got to, at some point, wake up and ask yourself, are these holidays really of God? With all the wickedness and evil that goes on around the times of these so-called holidays, you would think people would take the time to sit back and evaluate, but they don't. They love the wickedness too much. All right. So let me read on. It says the 15-year-old brother came outside with his own semi-automatic handgun. So now you got to ask yourself the question, where are these young boys getting these guns from?
Right.
14, 15-year-old, both of them walking around carrying guns on them. And the mother, the sisters, the uncles, nobody has said anything to them about their behavior. It says the 15-year-old brother came outside with his own semi-automatic handgun and allegedly shot the younger teen in the stomach, police said. He then ran, throwing the gun into a nearby yard. The teen was taken into custody at a relative's house. Baldwin was taken to a hospital where she was pronounced dead, Gutierrez said. The bullet traveled through her left arm and into her chest, popping both of her lungs. She suffered internal bleeding and was unable to breathe. The wounded 14-year-old boy underwent surgery and is now in stable condition at a hospital. I'm glad he lived because, Lord's will, he'll get life in prison and have to spend the rest of his life knowing what he did. And Lord's will, at some point, he will repent. He's been charged with first-degree murder, child abuse, and being a delinquent in possession of a firearm, police said. The Pinellas Pasco State Attorney's Office will review the case and decide whether the teen will be charged as an adult. His brother was charged with attempted first-degree murder and tampering with physical evidence. So, realistically, I don't understand why the other brother is being charged because, in my view of it, he was trying to protect the life of his sister and the little baby.
Right.
All right. So I don't understand why they would. He shouldn't be. He should have never been in possession of the gun to begin with. But in this situation, he should get at least some leniency that he wasn't maliciously just going out trying to kill his brother because he was mad about the Christmas presents the way the brother was. From other reports that I read, it appears that he was just trying to protect. He knew he shot the sister. He threatened to kill the baby. He grabbed his own gun and went out there to try and protect life from his crazy brother. He obviously must know the brother is crazy. He even told, look, I don't want to fight. Leave me alone. Just let it go. I don't want to fight. But the 14-year-old didn't want to let it go. And it escalated to the point to where their innocent sister, that was all she was trying to do, was say, you guys need to stop. It's Christmas.
Hmm.
If he really cared about Christmas, if Christmas was really about Christ, wouldn't you think that should have been enough for him to be like, you know what, you're right. This is about Christ. It's not about the presents. It's not about who's getting what. Yeah, I'm tripping. You know what? I'm sorry. You know what, you guys, I'm sorry. I apologize. I shouldn't have never acted. But no, that's not what happened because this is not of Christ. All this anger and hatred and vitriol that comes out, in people and families and things during the holidays. Their family isn't the only one experiencing this kind of stuff. There are people all over this country experiencing these kind of situations. So it says his brother was charged with attempted first-degree murder and tampering with physical evidence, probably because he threw the gun and tried to hide it. Both teams have prior arrests for car burglaries. These young kids, 14, 15 years old, routinely carry firearms. And this is what happens when you got young delinquents that carry guns, Gutierrez said. They get upset, they don't know how to handle stuff, and they end up shooting each other. So, again, this should make you think, is Christmas really of God? This should be a wake-up call that the scriptures are telling you the truth. In the last days, perilous times shall come. All right, so let me cut this one out. Killed his sister over Christmas gifts. All right, so now I just typed in 2023 Christmas weekend crimes. So he's going to look what's happened over Christmas. Suspects arrested twice over Christmas weekend for mail theft in Lathrop. If you don't know where Lathrop is here in California. It's a city right outside of Stockton. All right, in between Stockton, Modesto, Tracy, that area. Wisconsin woman charged in string of Christmas crimes. Baltimore police investigate hate crime and miracle on 34th Street Christmas lights display. I got scammed for Christmas. Beware of gift card crooks using AI, other cons this holiday season. Ames police ask for help identifying man who broke into house on Christmas Day. They got a video of it, got his face and everything. Harris County Precinct for Crime Holiday Patrol Initiative leads to dozen DUI arrests. So you got some of these people that were driving around drunk. Middle East tensions continue to rise over Christmas weekend. Police investigating after Mississippi man found dead outside his home on Christmas morning. Arizona woman and mom are killed on Christmas Eve by ex-prosecutor's widower, who then turns gun on himself. Annapolis woman arrested for alleged home invasion, Christmas gift theft. Violent holiday weekend across New Orleans metro, 5 killed in 3 days. Florida man shoots, kills half brother on Christmas while he was looking for his cell phone, officials say. So this happened in Florida too, around the same time as the other incident. Woman in wheelchair killed on Christmas Eve after car speeds into crosswalk. That also happened in Florida. Newsweek, Christmas Eve shootings in multiple states as Americans celebrated holidays. Let me click on that. Let's see what states this has happened in. All right, so Christmas Eve shootings. This is Newsweek. Christmas Eve shootings in multiple states as Americans celebrated holidays. Shooting incidents, some deadly, occurred in a number of states over the weekend as Americans celebrated the Christmas holidays. In New Orleans, 3 men were injured during a shooting incident in the city's French Quarter, according to WVUE TV in New Orleans. The shooting occurred on Christmas Eve morning near Toulouse. I don't know how you pronounce that, Toulouse and Dauphine Streets. The New Orleans Police Department reportedly said that the incident was sparked by a fight between the men, and officials are still searching for a possible suspect in the shooting, WVUE TV reported. Newsweek reached out to the New Orleans Police Department via email for updated information. At 4:34 p.m. on Sunday, December 24, 2023, Colorado Springs Police Department received a call for service for shots fired at the Citadel Mall. Officers responded and determined that a fight had broken out between two groups of people. One adult male was found deceased in the mall from a gunshot wound, the CSPD said in a post to X, formerly Twitter. In a series of posts on X, the CSPD said that 2 adult men involved in the shooting were transported to a nearby hospital, suffering from at least one gunshot wound each. A woman was also transported to a hospital with minor injuries. CSPD has multiple people detained and is working to determine their involvement. Police said there is no known threat to the community at this time. The mall has been cleared and closed. If you have any information, please call CSPD at 719-444-7000 or remain anonymous. Call Crime Stoppers at 719-634-7867 or 634-STO. In an update provided to Newsweek, a spokesperson for the CSPD said that one of the male victims who was transported to a hospital in a critical condition has now been designated as stable. While this was a shooting that happened at a mall on Christmas Eve, this was not an active shooter situation where someone had gone to the mall with the intent to shoot random people. This appears at this point to have been criminal behavior between two groups of people that happened to take place at the mall, the spokesperson told Newsweek. All right, another one in Florida. Around 40 miles south of Gainesville, the Ocala Police Department issued a $5,000 reward for information leading to the arrest of 39-year-old Albert J. Show Jr. in connection to a deadly shooting at the Paddocks Mall in the city's southwestern suburbs. Police share Paddock Mall murder suspect. OPD has an arrest warrant for Albert J. Show Jr., 39, for premeditated first social media. Be called OPD and tell us where he is, and it leads to his arrest. We will pay you $5,000. Call 352-656-6137. Please do not call that number for any other matter. The Oak extend our deepest condolences to the families of the victims, and we are committed to bring the perpetrator to justice, police said. All right. Um, so you can see over this so-called Christmas holiday, um, things are getting worse. Sextortion crime surged during school breaks, FBI warned. So here these kids are on so-called holiday break, and the kind of things that's going on. Mm. After Grand Central stabbing, Mayor Adams' response shows he missed crime train. There's one we already. Florida mom using wheelchairs fatally struck by alleged drunk driver after leaving Christmas Eve gathering. Savannah Chrisley not joyous or happy on Christmas amid parents' incarceration. Not quite merry and bright, this holiday season brings a welter of contradictory feelings. Um, Ocala police identify suspect. Oh, that's the one we just read. It's another follow up. I guess they arrested the dude. Mm, yeah, so some of these, and if you haven't read about this or watched any, you go to YouTube and type in her name, Gypsy Rose Blanchard. This is a story about a girl that her mother used her in a scam. They moved to a new town in which, from the time she was a little girl, the mother had been claiming that the little girl was sick and had all these different kinds of diseases, that she was in a wheelchair, she was crippled, had a whole, the town, they built them a house, they received money from all over the place, all kinds of sympathy and everything like that. And the mother kept this ruse going on this girl's entire life until the girl met a dude online that she fell in love with, and invited him to come to her house, in which the mother was not happy about it because now she wasn't the sole site of the girl's affections, I guess you can say. So the mother tried to intervene and keep her from seeing the guy. Um, so the girl Gypsy talked her boyfriend into unaliving her mother, um, in which they both got caught. Um, Both went to prison for it. But you could go on YouTube and watch that one. If you're into watching the true crime stuff on there like I am, it's a pretty interesting story. But the police were shocked when they saw her stand up in the interrogation room and start walking around
Right.
when she was supposed to be in a wheelchair and crippled. So the truth came out that the whole thing that her mother had been selling, the people for years was a ruse. The girl, there was nothing wrong after she got arrested. The girl did after her mother's arrest. I mean, her mother's unaliving. Uh, they, did all kind of tests on her and found out there was absolutely nothing wrong with the girl. Um, that basically it just simply came down to she got tired of living this lie with her mother, wanted a way out, wanted a way to get away from her, and talked this dude into unaliving her mother for her. And then she tried to turn on the boy and claim that the boy raped her and all this kind of stuff. And it's a crazy situation. So like I said, you just look up her name on YouTube, and there's videos on there you can watch. Plenty of little true crime videos on there talking about that story. Um, 5 people die on Las Vegas roads in a 12-hour period starting Christmas Eve. Colorado Springs Mall reopened after deadly Christmas Eve shooting. The top 12 scams of Christmas according to the Better Business Bureau, which is the BBB. Pierce County charity loses $56,000 truck in robbery over holiday weekend. Now, like I said, you can see these stories just go on and on. This is talking about the one we were a very perplexing crime scene about what we were talking about the girl and her pregnant baby. So you got some legal weed for Christmas. Can you bring it back to Mississippi with you? Deputies search for gunmen in deadly Christmas Day shooting at Cafe Hookah Bar. No arrest 1 year after Greenbrier man shot and killed on Interstate 24 last Christmas. Late night vandals whack kick holiday decoration. Former Notre Dame official George Mandurakis accused of Christmas Day kidnapping attempt. Stroller, Christmas trees, holiday scams, and Rooneyisms. Boston mayor targeted in string of Christmas swatting incidents at politicians' homes. So 200,000 tourists expected during New Year's holiday. So I think you get the gist of where I'm going with this. Crime and public safety, homicidal holidays, famous Christmas murders. Holiday shopper fights back during armed robbery at Del Amo Mall. So you can see that there's a lot of wickedness and evil going on around this so-called holiday season, that our people really need to evaluate and ask yourself the question: is this something you really want to keep partaking in? Is this something you really feel is something that's bringing true joy to the world? You know what I mean? Is it changing the world for the better? You're seeing the world get worse, worse and worse and worse during the so-called holiday season, which means that there are a lot of people out here that, again, need to be retaught, need to be fed the sincere milk of the word, and have to be willing to humble themselves and accept it so that we could get our people up out of here. We want the kingdom that is promised to us. I don't know what the problem is with a lot of our people. They seem to like this kingdom here. This kingdom is not for us. This kingdom is for our oppressors. This kingdom is for our enemies. And they would rather have us not here. If it was up to them, we would have been eradicated off the face of the earth. And that's what they've been trying to do for ages, trying to get our people out of here. All right, so let's go to Hebrews 5 and 12 through 14. Let's get into this lesson. In the last days, perilous times shall come. I wanted to start it off with these news stories to give you a sense of what the scripture is talking about, that in the last days, there would be perilous times, meaning dangerous times. And that's what we're living in. And it gets worse around these holidays that people think are in celebration of the Most High and his son Christ, in which they're not. All right, so go ahead.
The book of Hebrews, chapter 5 and verse 12. For when for the time you ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God, and are become such as have need of milk and not of strong meat. For every one that useth milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those whom by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil.
So a lot of you so-called Christians, a lot of you so-called Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans who are the Israelites the Bible is speaking of have not been taught a lot of these things. So therefore, you are unskillful in the word of righteousness. You have not exercised your senses to discern that celebrating Christmas and all these holidays is evil. You have not exercised your senses to understand that we are living in the last days, these perilous times that the scriptures have warned us about. So you need to be retaught. And that's what we're here to do. But in order for you to learn it, you have to be willing to receive it. Grab 1 Peter 2 and 2.
The book of First Peter, chapter 2 and verse 2. As newborn babes desire the sincere milk of the word, that ye may grow thereby.
So you have to become as a newborn babe. You've got to humble yourself as a newborn babe and desire the sincere milk of the word. You've got to desire to learn. You've got to desire change and really desire, because our people talk about change all the time. We want change, but we don't want to change ourselves. If we want to see change in our communities, we have to change that person within each and every one of us. That's the only way we're going to see change. The only thing that's going to bring that change about is the word of God. Plain and simple. There's nothing else that you can bring out. There's no other books. There's no other laws. No, nothing else that's going to help our people except the word of God, which was written for us and given to us. This is our guidebook. This is our wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations. And we choose to ignore it and latch on to the wisdom and understanding of the world, which is detrimental to our people. All right. So our people have got to wake up. You've got to desire to get yourself out of darkness and head towards the light, because that's what we're trying to do. That's what a lot of our brothers that are online teaching are trying to do. We're trying to lead you to the light,
Right.
trying to lead our people away from this darkness. But our people, for whatever reason, love groping around in the dark, love being like a blind man, walking around with your eyes closed, have no idea where you're going. All right. So let's go to the book of Job, chapter 21, and verse 17.
The book of Job, chapter 21 and verse 17. How oft is the candle of the wicked put out, and how oft cometh their destruction upon them? God distributeth sorrows in his anger.
So that story we were just reading about the young girl with her baby in her belly, her so-called boyfriend. And that's the other thing that I forgot to mention about that story is that just last year, her younger brother just got murdered. So there's a lot to this story that people are not getting from the everyday news. What they're finding in the news, they're trying to sensationalize it, and in a way that the mother, she was pregnant, got murdered. You know what I mean? They're playing on people's sympathies, which we empathize, we sympathize with that. You know what I mean? She was a young mother about to give birth. But don't look away from the truth also, that something that they said or something that they did, something they were involved in, led to what happened to them. So people are speculating that this has to do with what happened to her brother last year, because her younger brother was shot and killed, shot and unalived last year, because apparently he supposedly stole, robbed somebody, stole drugs or something like that from somebody. The person that did it got arrested. When they went to court, the suspect made some kind of emotion towards the family that upset the family, and in the middle of the courtroom, they attacked him, beat him down in the courtroom. And it's weird because if you watch the video, it almost looks like the police and everybody in the courtroom just kind of stepped back for a few minutes and let them do it,
Mm.
and then finally intervened. Um, and apparently, the sister was one of the ones that jumped in there and helped in this melee. Um, so some people are speculating that maybe this is payback for what happened with that. Other videos, if you go watch, like I said, if you're into the true crime and you watch any of that on YouTube, there are people on there that are, bringing out more information showing that there's another video where some guy showed up to their apartment not long before, this incident happened. And somebody was accused of snitching on someone. And there's speculation that these guys may have had something to do with it. Uh, at this point, nobody knows for sure. But again, how oft is the candle of the wicked put out? And it's not just talking about Esau, the wicked of Esau. They are the wicked the Bible speaks of, but also the wicked of our own people. That candle of understanding that we have about these scriptures, how often is it put out when our people are caught up in wickedness? And how oft, meaning how often, cometh their destruction upon them? When you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are caught up in wickedness, you need to understand that the Most High is going to bring payback on you. As it says, God distributed sorrows in his anger. Are their parents not sorrowful right now, Ezra? Have you
Yeah.
seen the videos where the mother, the father, everybody's crying, they're distressed, they're sorrowful. Um, the one thing with the guy's father and stepmother is that they acknowledged that he was into some bad stuff, and they were trying to
Right.
do everything they can to try and get him to change. And they say it, unfortunately, his time expired before he could do it,
Right.
before he can change and get his life on track. Unfortunately, this has happened. So now there's nothing they can do. There was nothing they could do to begin with, because he made his own choices. He chose his lifestyle, even though they were trying to get him to change. All right. But unfortunately, maybe the money, the drugs, the lifestyle was just too much for him. It was too enticing that he got himself caught up. But God distributed sorrows in his anger. That's why you see so many of our mothers on TV crying, Lord, why did this have to happen to my son? Why did this have to happen to my daughter? They didn't do anything to deserve this. All right. Let's go to Job 21 and 30.
The book of Job, chapter 21 and verse 30. That the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction, they shall be brought forth to the day of wrath.
So, yes, this is talking about the wicked. This is talking about the children of Esau, who are known as the border of wickedness. But along with that are even some of you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, some of you Israelites that are living wickedly. You're living according to the ways of your oppressor. You're living according to the ways of your enemies, and you don't want to change. So, yeah, when their destruction comes upon them, if you don't repent, you're going to find yourself in that destruction also. If I mess up, I can find myself in that destruction. that the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction. They shall be brought forth to the day of wrath. Our people need to repent. We need to see what's going on in these last days, that we are living in the perilous times that the Lord warned us about. And that should be enough to make you want to change. All right, let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, and you're going to read verses 10 through 27. I might stop you here and there.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 4 and verse 10. Hear, O my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of thy life shall be many.
And the
I have taught
years of thy life shall be many. This young boy, because I think of him still as a young boy. I think back to when I was 22, 23 years old. I thought I was grown.
right.
Now I look back and I was just still a foolish kid. Still didn't know anything. I thought, for my age, I knew a lot, but I still didn't know anything, even though I thought I did. But I can't even begin to even think to look back on my life if I had died at 22, 23 years old. Looking back at how much life that I would have missed out on from the age of 22, 23, I'm now 50. That's more than half my life. Just to think of how much life I would have missed out on. But nobody's teaching our kids this stuff. Hear, O my son, and receive my sayings, and the years of thy life shall be many. So these young kids are not learning these things. They're not learning the word of the Most High. And they're dying left and right at young ages. Go ahead.
I have taught thee in the way of wisdom. I have led thee in right path. When thou goest, thy steps shall not be straitened, and when thou runnest, thou shalt not stumble. Take fast hold of instruction. Let her not go. Keep her, for she is thy life.
Take fast hold of instruction. Let her not go. When you receive the instruction of the Lord, don't ever let that go. Keep her, for she is thy life. She is thy life. Go ahead.
Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men.
Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. We've got to teach our young kids these scriptures. We've got to teach them that God is telling us, when you see wickedness go on, stay clear of the path, because you got to remember it is wicked men that have set up these holidays. Wicked people, wicked men have set up this society. We have got to teach the kids to stay away from the ways of this world. Enter not into the path of the wicked, and go not in the way of evil men. Stay away from the drug dealer. Stay away from the gangbangers. Stay away from the women out there selling their bodies on the street. We got to teach our young girls this. Stay away from the entertainment industry. We've got to teach our kids this. There is nothing good going on in the rap world. Nothing good going on in the R&B world. There's nothing good going on in the movie industry, the TV industry. Nothing good going on for these kids. But yet you still have parents that are pushing their kids into this entertainment industry, which is run by wicked and evil men. And we're finding out more and more of the truth about the entertainment industry every day now, about the men at the top, these record producers, these movie producers, these television show producers that are taking advantage of these young kids, these young adults, and corrupting them, influencing them, taking advantage of them. both spiritually, sexually, physically, just totally corrupting them. To where you have, just go back and look at how many of these young kids come through the entertainment industry and have broken spirits. These are now adults, and you're like, man, what happened to them? Their minds are corrupted, minds are just gone. And what do? They turn to drugs, they turn to alcohol to at least have something that could turn their mind away from the perils that they've gone through in the industry. Look at Taraji P. Henson sitting there, videos showing her crying because of the things she's seen and gone through being in Hollywood. She could have walked away. She could still walk away. She chose the life. But you've got these stars literally coming to tears nowadays because of the things they've had to endure being in that entertainment industry. Enter not into the path of the wicked and go not in the way of evil men. Verse 15, go ahead.
Avoid it. Pass not by it. Turn from it and pass away.
Avoid it, pass not by it, turn from it, and pass away. Again, avoid the drug dealer. Avoid the gangbangers. Avoid the pimps. Avoid the street walkers out there walking the streets selling themselves. Avoid the strip club. Avoid the clubs. They called them discos back in the day. Avoid the bars. Avoid the drugs. Avoid the alcohol. You could go on and on. Avoid it. Pass not by it. Turn from it. Pass away. Go ahead.
For they sleep not, except they have done mischief, and their sleep is taken away, unless they cause some to fall.
Their sleep is taken away. That's why you see the majority of crimes that happen when? In the middle of the night. These criminals don't sleep. They're not, happy until they've done some kind of mischief. That's why it says, for they sleep not except they have done mischief. They will stay up all hours of the night, breaking into cars, breaking into homes, breaking into businesses, kidnappings, all kinds of wickedness. And then after they've done their dirt, then they'll go home and wherever they need to go and find, where they can get rest. But they're not going to do it until they've caused mischief. It says, and their sleep is taken away unless they cause some to fall. Go ahead and read on.
For they eat the bread of wickedness and drink the wine of violence. But the path of the just is as the shining light that shineth more and more unto the perfect day.
And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bring you to the path of the just so that you can see that shining light, so we can lead you towards that shining light. Through what? Through the scriptures. Go ahead.
The way of the wicked is as darkness. They know not at what they stumble. My son, attend to my words, incline thy ear unto my sayings. Let them not depart from thine eyes. Keep them in the midst of their heart.
Keep them in the midst of thine heart, meaning your mind. Keep these laws, these statutes, these commandments and judgments in the midst of your mind. Always meditate on them. Go ahead.
For they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh.
Look at how many times it keeps reminding us that this is our life. These laws, these statutes, these commandments, these judgments that the Lord gave to his people Israel. For they are life unto those that find them, and health to all their flesh. Go ahead.
Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Put away from thee a forward mouth, and a perverse lips put far from thee. Um, pon- uh, Ponder the path of thy
You
feet.
forgot, you skipped verse 25.
Verse 25. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. Turn not not the right hand, nor the left. Remove thy foot from evil.
So he says, put away from thee a froward mouth and perverse lips put far from thee. Because in these times, you hear a lot of frowardness coming out of people's mouths, a lot of perverse speak coming out of people's mouths. People don't know how to control their lips. They don't know how to control themselves. So they just think that they can say whatever they want to whoever they want. Let thine eyes look right on, and let thine eyelids look straight before thee. Ponder the path of thy feet, and let all thy ways be established. You need to be thinking every day about what path you're walking. Are you walking in the path of the just? Are you following the path of the just? Are you going in the ways of wickedness? It says, turn not to the right hand nor to the left. Remove thy foot from evil. Remove thy foot from evil. We've got to teach these kids what it means, what evil is, because our people have not exercised their senses to discern evil and good nowadays. It's convoluted. People don't know the difference between what's good and what's evil. There's confusion in the world. And a lot of it comes back to these doctrines that have been taught in the Christian churches. All right. Let's go to 2 Timothy chapter 3, and you're going to read verses 1 through 9.
The book of 2 Timothy, chapter 3, and verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetousness, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth.
So
Now,
this is true. Go ahead.
now, as Jonas and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds, reprobate concerning the faith, but they shall proceed no further, for their folly shall be manifested unto all men, as there also was.
All right. So this is a very serious topic in the scriptures. When you look at 2 Timothy chapter 3 and you look at the world today, you can see direct parallels that it should be no doubt in your mind that this Bible is real, that the prophecies of this book are real, that the warnings in this book for our people are real. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. Hence the name of the lesson. In the last days perilous times shall come. What is gonna bring about these perilous times? It tells us, for men shall be lovers of their own selves. So what we're going to do in this lesson is we're going to break every one of these down slightly, but we've got lessons on every single one of these, full lessons on what it means for people to be lovers of their own selves, people to be covetous, people to be boasters, people to be proud, blasphemers. We already did one of the lessons on pride. disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. You see, even the scriptures tells us over and over again that when you come into the way of people like this, don't kick it with them. Just to put it in today's terms, you shouldn't be hanging out, being around, whether it's friend, foe, family member, co-worker, whatever the case is. When you see people that have these attributes, you should be turning away. Should not be going in the way of ungodly people. Again, from such turn away. Those are not my words. That's what's written right here on the pages in black and white. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women, laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts. And you see some of our brothers in the Israelite community trying to make fun of what's that dude's name? I don't. He just went to jail. He was always at the Israelite community from the conscious community. Brother Polite.
Right.
You see a lot of Israelite brothers trying to jump on the bandwagon and make fun of, he did this, he did that. That's what he get for, these things he was teaching against the Israelites and da 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 da. And it's like, what are some of you guys making fun of him for? When some of you are teaching some of the same foolish doctrines that he's teaching about multiple wives and all this kind of stuff, living the exact same kind of life that he was living.
Right.
You hear the same stuff that he was doing going on in the Israelite community. And you've got these brothers out here thinking that it's funny, making fun of him because he went to jail for doing these things, when they've got people within their camps doing the same things.
Right.
And some of the teachings that they're teaching are the exact same teachings he was teaching. The only difference was you're doing it in the name of Israel and he was doing it in the name of Kemet. That's the only difference. So these are what? For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts. That's why this woman was dumb enough to allow him to come into her home, be around her daughter, which allowed him access to her daughter. And especially the fact that, if anybody has followed the story, that he supposedly was taking her daughter to an after party, which the mother was stupid. She was 14. The daughter was like 14 years old, right? Do you remember the story?
Yep.
She was like 14 years old. What is she doing going to an after party with a grown man? And I'm not talking like he was 18, 19 years old. I'm talking about, what was he, like 30 something, maybe 40. I don't know how old he is exactly, but I'm talking about a real grown man. What is her mother doing letting a 14-year-old go to an after party with a grown man? That's a silly woman. Laden with what? Laden with sins. Led away with diverse lusts. These are the kind of women that they're looking for. These dumb women in the Israelite community that are allowing themselves to be wife number 2, 3, 4, and 5. These are silly women that are being led captive because they're what? They're full of sins. They're laden with sins. They're led away with all kinds of diverse lusts. That's why they can see nothing wrong with, okay, well, I'll have him tonight, you'll have him tomorrow. I'll have a baby by him this year, you have a baby by him next year. ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. You have some of these people in the Israelite community that are always studying, always learning, but they're never able to come into the knowledge of the truth because they still keep teaching the same foolish doctrines, no matter how much knowledge they come into. They still believe. There's so many of our people in the Israelite community that still think that the moon is what determines the seasons of the year. And they're following the moon for our high holy days, which is silly. At this point, it shouldn't even take you of being a genius to look at the sun and understand that it is the earth going around the sun that determines the seasons, not the moon going around the earth. But our people are so silly that they will believe that. That's why the scriptures calls us silly doves. Our people will believe anything. And we've been following this foolishness for thousands of years now. We went away from following the true calendar years ago. And the Most High just let it go. Just like he let a lot of things go, multiple wives in the Old Testament. He just kind of let it go. The idolatry, he just kind of let it go. He looked away from it, for a while. But now it's time for our people to repent from all of this idolatry, all this wickedness, and all this evil. Ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Some of these guys will never change and come to the understanding that some of their doctrines just don't fit, don't make sense.
Right.
Now, as Jans and Jambers withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. No matter how many times you show them, the moon does not regulate the seasons. The moon does not regulate our high holy days. They don't want to hear it. They don't want to believe it. No matter how many scriptures you go and show that it was never meant for us to have multiple wives. The Most High himself even says about King David, who had multiple wives, I gave him his wives. The Most High is telling us, I'm the one that allowed this. I allowed him to have, even though in the scriptures, even though in the Torah, I specifically said, your king should not multiply wives to him. So isn't that what's written in the scriptures? That the king should not multiply wives to himself, but the Most High allowed King David to do it. He says it. I gave him his wives. He allowed these things to happen. He let us get away with a lot. But now it's time for us to repent because Christ came to set the ship right. It was never meant from the beginning. It was supposed to be husband and wife, and those two should be one. Not three, not four, not five being one flesh, but the twain being one, the two. And for whatever reason, a lot of our brothers in the truth want to resist the truth. As he says, now as Jans and Jambers withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds, reprobate concerning the faith. All you got to do is just listen to the way some of these dudes talk, the way they carry themselves, the way they live, and it will become quite clear to you that they don't really believe these scriptures. they're not really living according to these scriptures. But they shall proceed no further, for their folly shall be manifest unto all men, as theirs also was. And that's why you keep seeing, and it's almost all the time, almost the same camps, sometimes the same leaders, over and over again, things going on in their camps, things happening within their camps, in their churches, in their schools, because they don't want to change. They resist the truth. Some of them don't realize that they're part of the problem, not the solution. We've got to stop being a part of the problem. We've got to really bring solutions to our people. And there are some out there that are doing it. Not all the camps, not all the leaders out here in Israel are doing, but there are some of our people that are out here that are they're more part of the problem than they are the solution. They're more part of the problem that our people are engaging in these perilous times, because they're helping bring it about. All right. So let's do this. Let's look up some definitions. I'm going to share my screen. Once again. And we're going to look up the word perilous. What does the word perilous actually mean? Because it says there's going to be perilous times. Let me know when you see it.
It's coming. There it is.
All right. Perilous, full of danger or risk. Full of danger or risk. So we're living in times that are full of danger, and you risk your health, your life every time you walk out your doors. Dangerous, hazardous, risky, unsafe. We live in dangerous, hazardous, risky, unsafe times. Treacherous, precarious, vulnerable, uncertain times. Insecure, critical, desperate, exposed, at risk, touch and go, problematic, difficult, perilous, fraught with danger and jeopardy, in danger. Another definition: exposed to imminent risk of disaster or ruin. Exposed to imminent risk of disaster or ruin. As it gives an example, the economy is in a perilous state. That fits today. Is the economy not in a perilous state? High inflation, everything is going up. Food, gas, rent, mortgages, interest rates, everything is going up. But it's not being done by accident. The powers that be have their agenda, and they're just simply putting their agenda into play, and nothing anybody can really do about it is giving them too much power. All right, let's look up the word peril now, because perilous comes from the word peril. Peril, serious and immediate danger. That's heavy. So not just dangerous times, we're in serious and immediate danger. The dangers or difficulties that arise from a particular situation or activity. Exposed to danger, threatened. All right. So we need to understand that when the scriptures tells us that we're living in serious and immediate dangerous times, that we're living in perilous times, the world is in peril, and you need to open your eyes and see it. It's not, the world isn't what it was 15, 20, 30 years ago, 40, 50 years ago. The world is rapidly changing. And either you're going to get taken by it, you're going to die in your sins in this world, or you're going to repent and Lord's will receive the kingdom, have a place in the world to come. Because for you Israelites, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, there is a promised kingdom for you after this one is taken out of the way. In order for a kingdom to rise, a kingdom has got to fall.
Right.
America's got to fall. It's got to go. In order for Christ's kingdom to come, there isn't enough room for Christ's kingdom in America to exist at the same time. Light can't exist with darkness. Darkness can't exist with light at the same time. They can't occupy the same space at the same time. So one has got to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to break this down, because the scriptures is warning us that in the last days perilous times will come. In order for you to see the perilous times of today, you got to see and understand the perilous times of yesterday, of the past. What happened in the past? Because in order for you to see the dangers of today, you got to understand what dangers happened to our people back then, because it's going to repeat itself. History repeats itself. So in order for us to see it clearly, we've got to understand, okay, what dangers happened back then, so that when they happen again, we will know and we can avoid it. But if you don't go back and study, you don't go back and read, you don't go back and apply these scriptures to your life, you have no clue. Because all of this danger, all this peril that this world is in has come to become normal to people. It's normalized. All the murder or unaliving. Let me change that. Unaliving. All the unaliving that's going on around the world. All of the robbing, the rape, all of this stuff that's going on. This is nothing new. These things went on in the past. All right. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 1. You're going to read verses 9 through 10.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 1 and verse 9. The things that had been, the things that had been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done, and there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It had been already of old time, which was before us.
It had been already of old time, which was before us. All these things we see going on in the world today are the same things that have been going on in the world for ages. It's nothing new. It's new to us because we haven't seen it like this before. But it has been. The thing that has been, it is that which shall be. These perilous times have been in the past already. They've happened before. The thing that has been, is it is that which shall be. As we were told, in the last days perilous times should come. Why are we being warned? Because those perilous times happened before. Just like we did our lesson about Jacob's trouble. And we showed you Jacob's trouble is nothing new that's going to happen to Israel. Jacob's trouble has been going on against Israel from day one. Jacob has always experienced troubles. It's nothing new. But some of our people teach it as if it's some new thing. Oh, Jacob's trouble. Yeah, when Jacob's trouble, like Jacob's trouble is nothing new. It's just something we're going to go through again. We've gone through Jacob's trouble over and over and over and over and over again. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? You may have your iPhone, your iPad, all this. You may think all this stuff is new, but it's already been. The technology has been there for way before America came around. How do we know? Because those big UAPs, UFOs, whatever it is they want to call them nowadays, has been around from way back in the day when Moses was up there on Mount Sinai. So the technology has been there. It's nothing new. It's new to us. And we just haven't done our lesson yet on the chariots of the Most High. If you don't know what we're talking about. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new, it hath been already of old time, which was before us? How do you think in ancient times they saw things flying around in the skies before the airplane was even invented by the so-called Wright brothers 100 years ago? There were already aircraft being seen flying across the sky. The airplane is nothing new. It's new to us.
Right.
People are not paying attention to what's going on. In fact, what was it, 2 weeks ago? It was last week. Did you see the two Raptors that were flying around Stockton?
No.
No, you didn't see those? Yeah, there was a couple of Raptors flying around Stockton last week. So people are not paying it. People aren't looking up in the sky.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, well, what is going on that you got two Air Force Raptors flying around Stockton? Like, what is up with this? But those Raptors, you got it though. There's some cool looking planes. They can, kind of do, some cool stuff. But the things that the chariots of the Most High have been seen doing, they can't compare. These planes are nothing new. It's not a new technology. As I just said, they've been seen in the skies for thousands of years, way before the Wright brothers invented the aircraft. Just go to Ecclesiastes 3:15.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3 and verse 15. That which had been is now, and that which is to be has already been, and God requireth that which is past.
That which hath been is now, and that which is to be hath already been. Perilous times is now, and it's been already. Perilous times have already been around. It's nothing new. We just got to prepare you for it because you have not experienced it to that degree yet. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 6 and 10.
Book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 6 and verse 10. That which had been is named already, and it is known that it is man. Neither may he contend with him that is mightier than he.
That which hath been is named already. Jacob's trouble, perilous times. You could go on throughout these scriptures and find these different names of events or situations or things that have happened And it's nothing new. They've been named already. They've happened already. All right. You just got to prepare yourself. Grab Ecclesiastes 7 and 10.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, and verse 10. Say not thou, what is the cause, that the former days were better than these? For thou dost not inquire wisely concerning this.
Because you do hear people say that all the time. Man, things was, and I just said it a little bit ago. Things were better 30 years ago than what it is now. What did the Most High just say? Say not thou, what is the cause that the former days were better than these? Because thou dost not inquire wisely concerning this. So I'm getting corrected right now for even saying that. Because we're all, we all think that way. So like, man, why was it like 30 years ago? Things were not like this. The days before were way better than these. It was way better 30 years ago. But he's telling us for thou does not inquire wisely concerning this. Say not thou, what is the cause that the former days were better than these? So we shouldn't even really be asking the question. But we all foolishly do it. But he's telling us we don't inquire wisely concerning this. We're wrong. It's all these things have been here. We just haven't been paying attention. We've been asleep.
Right.
Because now that I think about it, yeah, you can go back to 30 years ago and remember the Night Stalker. Remember all these other what do you call them, serial killers and all. There was perilous times. Go back into the hood. There was drive-by shootings back in the 80s and 90s. So we really can't say it was better back then in reality. Now, if you put it in perspective, read Ecclesiastes 7 and 10, makes you think, and you go back, wait a minute. Yeah, the scriptures are right. We may feel like things were better back then, but in reality, no, it wasn't. We had our young men dying in the streets left and right every day from gang violence back then. No different than today. They were running around with Uzis and shotguns and doing the same stuff. Let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 8 and verses 5 through 7.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 8, and verse 5. Whoso keepeth the commandments shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man hard discerneth both time and judgment, because to every purpose there is time and judgment. Therefore, the misery of man is great upon him, for he knoweth not that which shall be, or who can tell him when it shall be.
Whoso keepeth the commandment shall feel no evil thing. We've got to teach this to our kids. If only somebody had taught it to that young man and his girlfriend, so-called girlfriend. You see, her parents failed her because they should have been teaching her to stay away from that kind of boy, that kind of man, to stand clear of the wicked man, of the evil man, not to go into the paths of the wicked person, the evil person. They should have been able to tell her, look, you know what, you need to stay away from this guy. He puts hands on you, which, they've acknowledged that he got arrested for domestic battery against her in the past. He's dealing drugs. He's out there in them streets with them guns.
Right.
Somebody should have been able to tell her that, you know what, do you really want this kind of life for you in the future if you have kids with him? What do you think's going to happen? Someone should have been able to tell her give her prophecy that, you know what, being with this guy is not going to lead to anything good. But nobody taught her. Nobody said anything to her. They just let her be with him. A father, an uncle, a brother, somebody should have been telling her, hey, look, you're too young to be caught up in these relationships. Why are you looking for a boyfriend? You should be looking for a husband, but not now. Wait. Find a godly. Didn't we just go through these lessons
Right.
about, you know, what kind of man our women should be looking for, the kind of woman our men should be looking for? We just did lessons on that. But people don't care about learning this stuff. They'll see our posts and our videos and go away from them, but they'll go click on the videos of these guys flashing their drugs and their money and twerking and all that kind of stuff. Whoso keepeth the commandments shall feel no evil thing. Somebody should have been teaching them the commandments of God, because if they had learned the commandments of God, they would have felt no evil thing. Something that's evil of what happened to them most likely wouldn't have happened. Wouldn't have been out there selling drugs. Wouldn't have been out there showing off his guns on social media. Wouldn't have been in a relationship as a boyfriend to the girl. She wouldn't have been in a relationship as a girlfriend to the boy. The parents would have come together and you know, brought them together righteously, brought them up, teaching them the commandments of the Most High. Whoso keepeth the commandments shall feel no evil thing. Those other families that were celebrating Christmas, while the brothers are arguing over who's getting what presents, what gifts, if somebody had taught them that the scripture says, receive not a gift,
Right.
they wouldn't have had that issue. Somebody had taught them not to celebrate Christmas, they wouldn't have had that issue. Somebody would have taught them commandment 10, thou shalt not covet, they wouldn't have had that issue. The girl would be alive. The brothers, both of them, would not be heading to jail. The baby would not be without the mother. Whoso keepeth the commandments shall feel no evil thing, and a wise man's heart discerneth both time and judgment. A wise man's heart, meaning his mind, discerneth both time and judgment. And we know that our young men do not have the ability to discern. They don't have the spirit of discernment on them. As it says, because to every purpose there is time and judgment. Therefore the misery of man is great upon him. For he knoweth not that which shall be, for who can tell him when it shall be? All right, let's go to Ecclesiastes chapter 9 and verses 11 through 12.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 9, verse 11. I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to the men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happen to them all. For man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snares, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time when it falleth suddenly upon them.
So I'm going to skip to verse 12. It says, for man also knoweth not his time. You see, they were excited. They were getting ready to have a baby. Or at least, you know, I would assume they were. You know what I mean? She was supposed to be going getting her pregnancy induced and let the guard down. He didn't know that somebody was planning evil against him. You see, I fully believe that somebody knew that this baby was about to come, and they waited. That they did, whoever did, they were that wicked and evil that they waited until this baby was about to come, just to send a message that, yeah, we're gonna wait until that very moment, that exciting day when you're about to have this baby, and that's when we're gonna do what we're gonna do. Where we, can you imagine how demonic and wicked and evil somebody's got to be?
Right.
Somebody had to know that baby was about to come, and they did it at that particular time. That they did it for a reason. The only people that didn't know their time was coming to an end were the boy and the girl. They had no idea. They obviously got caught by surprise. For man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in an evil net, and as the birds that are caught in the snare. So are the sons of men. So are the sons of men snared in an evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them. That's exactly what happened. They had no idea they was about to run into an evil time. It was about to get real bad for them on that day, and it came suddenly upon them. They, obviously they just had no clue. Let's go to Second Ezra chapter 3. I'm going to read verses 1 through 27, and again, I'm going to maybe cut in every once in a while to explain some stuff. But what are we talking about right now? Is he's getting it that there were perilous times in the past. It's nothing new. We were warned that there's going to be perilous times in the future, and we're going through some of those times today. But we also, in order to understand these perilous times of the future, we got to go back and understand the perilous times of the past. All right, that's what we're going through. Go ahead.
The book of Second Ezra, chapter 3 and verse 1. In the 13th year after the ruin of the city,
30th year.
on the 30th, thank you. In the 30th year after the ruin of the city, I was in Babylon, and lay trouble upon my bed, and my thoughts came up over my heart. For I saw the desolation of Zion, and the wealth of them that dwelt in Babylon.
So he's saying he saw how desolate Zion was, talking about Israel, Jerusalem, and all that. It was downtrodden. We have nothing. And he's looking around and seeing all the wealth of the people that dwell in Babylon, because they were in captivity in Babylon. No different than what we're seeing today. We're seeing the destruction of our people. We're seeing our people living in the worst parts of this country, because we are dwelling in what? Babylon the Great. And we're looking around, and we have to see the wealth of the other people around us, the other nations that are around us. As I say sometimes, if you live anywhere near where we're at in Cali, and you go to Elk Grove, you go to Folsom, you go to El Dorado Hills, you go up to Rockland, Roseville, Auburn, you go up in those areas, Lincoln, all brand new communities, brand new homes, even some
Right.
communities over in West Sacramento, Natomas, all these brand new homes, brand new communities, and you don't see any of our people living there. You might be lucky to see maybe a few that may be living in these communities. Homes that are going for $600, $700, $800,000. And that's just within the past year. That all of a sudden these homes, houses in Stockton,
Right.
selling for 5, 6, 7, and $800,000. Since when? You know
Right.
how bad Stockton is. Since when do you go to Stockton and you buy a house? Back then, it was unless you bought a house in Murata, those big $1 million homes back there. That's way back in the outskirts of Stockton. That was the only place you would find a 5, 6, 7, $800,000 home. But now it's a common thing now. Even in the worst neighborhoods of Stockton, the oldest neighborhoods, the homes are going for 300, 400, 500,000. Even an old fixer-upper still will cost you 250 to $300,000. And it's like, since when in Stockton? That's what lets you know that this is being done purposely. The gentrification in California is real. They're trying to push our people out of here. And we're seeing it because what are you seeing? You're seeing a lot of Moab. You're seeing a lot of Ammon.
Right.
Of course, we're seeing Esau. You're seeing a lot of Ishmael, a lot of Ishmaelites. Every other nation living in these areas. You see their wealth, just like Esdras had to see all the wealth of the people in Babylon around him. And he's like, man, for I saw the desolation of Zion and the wealth of them that dwelt in Babylon. He said he was troubled on his bed. His thoughts was coming to his heart. That should be happening to all of us. Like, man, what is going on? Our people are destroyed. Our people are ruined. And all the other nations around us, look at them, they're prospering. It's kind of like in that movie with Will Smith. What was that movie called?
The Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah, The Pursuit of Happiness. You got it. Where he was standing there in San Francisco and the people were walking by and he's like, look at them. They look so happy. And I wanted to know what brought on that happiness. I want to be happy like that. I'm paraphrasing it. I can't remember exactly what he was saying in the movie, but it was along those lines. He's seeing all these people walking around smiling, happy. And he's wondering, like, what are they so happy about? The guy pulled, remember the scene? The guy pulled up in the Ferrari and he's like, oh, wow. What do you do? We're gonna see it. The problem is we got to make sure we don't do what he did and end up envying it. Let it get to us to the point to where we envy it, to where we will do anything and everything to be among them, which you are seeing has happened to a lot of our people that let themselves get caught up in some of these industries. But we have to move like Esdras did. He saw the wealth of the other people. He acknowledged it, but what did he do? Go ahead and read.
And my spirit was some moved, so that
Was
I
sore
began
moved.
sword moved, and my spirit was sore moved, so that I began to speak words full of fear to the Most High, and said,
So he
O
began to
Lord,
pray.
O Lord, who bearest rule, thou speakest at the beginning when thou didst plant the earth, and that thyself alone and commandedest the people, and gavest a body unto Adam without soul, which was the workmanship of thine hand, and didst breathe into him the breath of life, and he was made living. He was made living before thee.
So, in other words, he gave him what? The knowledge of the scriptures. Go ahead.
And thou laidest him into a paradise which thy right hand had planted before ever the earth came forward. And unto him thou gavest commandments to love the way which he transgressed. And immediately thou appointedst death in him and in his generations, of whom came nations. nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number.
You see, notice it doesn't say all nations. And immediately thou appointedst death in him and in his generations, of who came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number. Go ahead.
And every people walked after their own will, and did wonderful things before thee, and despised thy commandments.
So he says, and every people walked after their own will, just like they're doing today, and did wonderful things before thee, and despise thy commandments, which is going on today. Go ahead.
And again, in process of time, thou broughtest the flood upon those that dwelt in the world, and destroyed them.
So it took a process of time. He's acknowledging in process of time, you brought the flood and you destroyed them. You destroyed those, those wicked, evil people. Just like in process of time, the same, excuse me, the same thing's going to happen again. Only this time it's not going to be destroyed by flood. It's going to be destroyed by fire. So history is going to repeat itself. The world's going to get punished for the wickedness and evil that's going on. All right. Just like that happened in the past. That's why we're reading this as a warning. What has happened before is going to happen again. The thing that is the thing that will be, right?
Right.
Or the thing that was is the thing that will be. I know I'm messing it up, but we just read it in Ecclesiastes. Go ahead and read.
And it came to pass in every of them, that as death was to Adam, so was the flood to thee. Nevertheless, one of them thou leftest, namely Noah, with his household, of whom came all righteous men. And it happened that when they that dwelt upon the earth began to multiply, and had gotten them many children, and were a great people, they began again to be more ungodly than the first.
They began again to be more ungodly than the first. You have to pay attention to what's being said. They began again to be more ungodly than the first, just like today. Our people are what? They're beginning again, and not just our people, the people of the world. They are beginning again to be more ungodly than what? Than the people of the past. It's happening again. Go ahead.
Now, when they lived so wickedly before thee, thou didst choose thee a man from among them, whose name was Abraham. Him thou lovest, and unto him only thou showest thy will, and madest an everlasting covenant with him, promising him that thou wouldest never forsake his seed. And unto him thou gavest Isaac, and unto Isaac also thou gavest Jacob and Esau. As for Jacob, thou didst choose him to thee, and put by Esau, and so Jacob became a great multitude.
So, in other words, he chose Jacob. Go ahead.
And it came to pass that when thou ladest his seed out of Egypt, thou broughtest them up to the Mount Sinai, and bowing the heavens, thou didst set fast the earth, movest the whole world, and madest the depths to tremble, and troublest the men of that age. And thy glory went through four gates, right? And thy glory went through four gates of fire, and of earthquakes, and of wind, and of cold, that thou mightest give the law unto the seed of Jacob, and diligence unto the generations of Israel. And yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart,
Pay
that
attention to what he's saying right now. And yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart. So he still gave us the ability to have free will to think, to either keep his commandments or not keep the commandments. Reread that again, verse 20, because some people don't pay attention to that, because there are people that are teaching that, oh, there's no such thing as free will. Everything
Uh,
that he ever taught us and told us was upon our free will.
right. In verse
Go ahead.
20, verse 20, and yet tookest thou not away from them a wicked heart, that thy law might bring forth fruit in them.
That thy law might bring forth fruit in them. See, we had a choice to keep the law or not keep it. See, he could have very well just took the wickedness out of us and just at that time, which he's going to do in the future, he could have just put his law in our members at that time, where we would have never sinned. But that's not what he did. He didn't take that wickedness away from us. Go ahead.
For the first Adam, bearing a wicked heart, transgressed, and was overcome, and so be all they that are born of him. Thus infirmity was made permanent, and the law also in the heart of the people with the malignity of the root, so that the good departed away, and the evil abode still. So the time passed away, and the years were brought to an end. Then didst thou raise thee up a servant called David, whom thou commandest to build a city unto thy name, and to offer incense and oblations unto thee therein. When this was done many years, then they that inhabited the city forsook thee, and in all things did even as Adam and all his generations had done, for they also had a wicked heart.
Listen again. And in all things did even as Adam and all his generations had done, for they also had a wicked heart. So this wicked heart he never took from us. And even today, our people still have a wicked heart as our forefathers did back then. Go ahead.
And so thou gavest thy city over into the hands of thine enemies. That's it, verse 27.
Oh, actually, read through 36.
Okay. Verse 28. Are their deeds then any better than inhabited Babylon, that they should therefore have the dominion over Zion?
So he says, are their deeds talking about the Babylonians? So are their deeds any better that inhabit Babylon? These people you have us in the midst of, you see the wickedness they do. Their deeds are no better than ours. That's what he's telling them. That they should therefore have the dominion over Zion. They're ruling over us and they're not even thinking about keeping your commandments, just like today. The other nations are ruling over us and they're not thinking about keeping God's commandments. They're all thinking about following the ways of America. But yet they have dominion over us. Go ahead.
For when I came thither and had seen in, in impiety,
Impieties.
impiety,
Yeah.
impieties without number, then my soul saw many evildoers in this thither year, so that my heart filled me.
So he says, then my soul saw many evildoers in this 30th year, so that my heart failed me. Just like we're seeing today. We're seeing many evildoers in these years, in these times, in this year of so-called 2023 that's so-called coming to an end. And our hearts should be failing us at the evil that we're seeing go on. Go ahead.
For I have seen how thou sufferest them sinning, and hast spread wicked doers, and hast destroyed thy people, and hast preserved thine enemies, and has not signified it.
So what Esdras is doing is Esdras is complaining to the Most High, kind of like what some of us will probably do today. Like, Lord, why are you doing this to us? Why is it that I got to sit back here and watch the destruction of my people while you sit here and let these wicked, evil people get away with all of this? Why? Like, why? So that's kind of like what Esdras is doing right now. He's complaining. For I have seen how thou sufferest them sin. Like, I see how you let them sin. You let these wicked people, you spare them, but yet you've destroyed your own people and you've preserved your enemies. That's what he's saying. For I have seen how thou sufferest them sinning, and hast spared wicked doers, and hast destroyed thy people, and hast preserved thine enemies, and hast not signified it. Go ahead.
I do not remember how this way may be left. Are they then of Babylon better than they of Zion?
So we could ask the same question today. Are they of America better than us of Zion? Mystery Babylon, are they any better than us? Go ahead.
Or is there any other people that knoweth thee besides Israel?
Or is there any other people that knoweth thee besides Israel, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans? Go ahead.
Or what generation had so believed thy covenant as Jacob? And yet their reward appeareth not, and their labor had no fruit. For I have gone here and there through the heathen, and I see that they flow in wealth, and think not upon thy commandments.
So he said, man, I've gone up and down through these heathen. I'm all around them. And I see all their wealth, and they don't think nothing about your commandments. He's basically like, Lord, what's going on? What's up with this? What is going on? Let's put it in today's times. We see these heathen driving around in the Ferraris and Lamborghinis and the Corvettes and
Right.
living in the mansions, the $1 million homes, flowing with jewelry and money and their cash flow. They've got no problems. They've got no worries except for the ones that they create for themselves. But they're not thinking about the Lord's commandments. He's telling it straight, for I have gone here and there through the heathen, and I see that they flow in wealth and think not upon thy commandments. Lord, what's up with this? Go ahead.
Weigh thou therefore our wickedness now in the balance, and there's also that dwell in the world, and so shall thy name nowhere be found but in Israel.
So he's telling, like, look, take it in a balance. Let me put my so you can see.
Right.
Weigh it in the balance. Our sins compared to their sins are actually right hand. It's backwards on the screen, right hand, left hand. Our wickedness compared to their wickedness. There's no balance. Their wickedness far excels our wickedness. It far exceeds. Your name's not found anywhere but in Israel. They're not talking about you. They're not really trying to serve you. That's what he's saying. Go ahead.
Or when was it that they which dwell upon the earth have not sinned in thy sight, or what people have so kept thy commandments? Thou shalt find that Israel by name had kept thy precepts, but not the heathen.
Thou shalt find that Israel by name have kept thy precepts, but not the heathen, meaning the other nations. Just like you're seeing today, the Israelites are waking up and we're keeping his precepts, but the heathen aren't. And some of our people are following behind the heathen. You see, our people, the Israelites that are aware that we're Israelites, we were celebrating Hanukkah, Feast of Dedication this month. We weren't celebrating Christmas. But the heathen are doing what? They're celebrating Christmas. And many of our people are celebrating right along with them. See, we're going to be waiting until springtime to celebrate the new year. But the heathen are going to be celebrating New Year's tomorrow night. And many of our people are going to be celebrating right there along with them. So what we can get from this, we can see that the evils that we see today are no different than the evils that was going on back then during that time. And we're going to continue seeing that the evils that we see today, no different than the evils that was going on in the past. Let's go to Genesis 6 and 5.
The book of Genesis, chapter 6 and verse 5. And God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continuously.
And that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. That's why he destroyed the earth during the time of Noah. It says, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And you see the same thing going on today. Nobody's caring about the laws of the Most High. Even in the midst of the Israelite community, there are a lot of Israelite brothers today that every imagination of the thoughts of their heart is only evil continually. And some of these men know that they're Israelites. Let's go to Genesis 8 and 21.
The book of Genesis, chapter 8 and verse 21. And the Lord smelled a sweet savor. And the Lord said in his heart, I will not again curse the ground any more for man's sake. For the imaginations of man's heart is evil from his youth. Neither will I again smite any more everything living as I have done.
So this was the promise that the Most High made after he flooded the earth. But he's letting us know, for the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. We can't help it. You see, you have people that believe that children can't be evil. Children can't be wicked. Children don't know evil. And it's like, what in the world are you talking about? Have you not read your Bible? Because even God tells us that we as people, every imagination of our mind is evil from our youth, from the time we're little children. And he's not exaggerated. For the imagination of man's heart is evil from his youth. How can you not understand that? But yet you hear people, oh, they're just innocent little kids. They don't know no evil. They can't be wicked. They're like, yeah, they can, even including your little wicked child running around here causing trouble. But it comes down to, again, belief and non-belief. Most people don't truly believe. When you hear things people say, they really don't believe the scriptures. They're not true believers. How could you call yourself a believer? Find out the truth about, we're not supposed to celebrate Christmas. We're not supposed to be celebrating New Year's Eve. We're not supposed to be allowing ourselves to get caught up in the ways of the world. We're supposed to be separating ourselves from the world at these times. But yet you'll still go celebrate Christmas with your enemies. These are the same people that put your people on slave ships and ship them across the world in the worst kind of conditions, chained down to the bottom of a ship's hull with no way to go to the restroom. You have to defecate on yourself. You got to pee on yourself. If you're sick, you got seasickness. They had to throw up on themselves.
Right.
Barely any food, any water, no way to bathe. Whipped, spit upon, thrown to the sharks. And then once you got off the slave ships, they put you up there in front of a crowd of people to sell you like you were a piece of meat. Put you on display as if you were a cattle or a swine or another animal that they were putting up for auction for sale. And then once they got you to their property, then they had to break you. They had to beat you into submission to make you work for free, your people. And then even after they did all of that and you so-called got your freedom, they still discriminated against you with Jim Crow laws. Still were lynching you.
Right.
years after you supposedly got freedom. And even today, still getting shot down in the streets by the very same people, but yet you will go sit down and celebrate Christmas with them. How foolish of a people are we?
Right.
Trying to put it into perspective for you so you can understand. These are the people that did these things to your people. These are the same people that showed up here on ships and started conquering our brothers and sisters of the Northern Kingdom, putting them into camps, separating the kids from the parents, putting the kids into what did they call them? I can't remember the word that they use. You know, the schools that they put the children in, separating the kids from the parents so that they can teach them the ways of their oppressors. Killing off the buffalo just so they couldn't even eat. They couldn't have food to eat. Bringing them blankets that are infected with smallpox so that they could give them smallpox so that they can, you know, make them sick and kill them off and die. But these are the very people you'll go sit down and celebrate Christmas with, and Thanksgiving, and New Year's Eve, and Halloween. Shows you how destroyed our people are. Let's go to Jeremiah 11 and 7 through 8.
The book of Jeremiah, chapter 11 and verse 7. For I earnestly protested unto your fathers in the day that I brought them up out of the land of Egypt, even unto this day, raising, rising early and protesting, saying, Obey my voice. Yet they obey not, nor incline their ear, but walk every one in their imaginations of their evil heart. Therefore I will bring upon them all the words of this covenant which I command them to do, but they did them not.
He says, Yet they obeyed not, nor inclined their ear, but walked every one in the imagination of their evil heart. Just like we do today. Our people don't want to hear, they don't want to obey the voice of the Lord. They don't want to change, they don't want to repent. It says, Therefore I will bring upon them all the words of this covenant which I commanded them to do, but they did them not. So what happened? Because we decided not to obey, the same thing that's going on today, the perilous times we're experiencing today, our forefathers experienced in the past, and our people still haven't learned. It's all written right here in the book. Let's go to Baruch chapter 1 and verse 1. You're going to read all the way through 22. Let's read about what happened.
The book of Baruch, chapter 1 and verse 1. And these are the words of the book which Baruch, the son of Neriah, the son of Mezaiah, the son of Zedaiah, the son of Azadiah, the son of Chelsiah, wrote in Babylon in the 5th year, and in the 7th day of the month, what time as the Chaldeans took Jerusalem and burned it with fire. And Baruch did read the words of this book in the hearing of Jeconiah, the son of Joachim, king of Judah, and in the ears of all the people that came to hear the book. In the hearing of the nobles and of the king's sons, and in the hearing of the elders and of all the people, from the lowest unto the highest, even of all them that dwelt at Babylon by the river Sut. Whereupon they wept, fasted, and prayed before the Lord, They made also a collection of money according to every man's power. And they sent it to Jerusalem unto Joachim the high priest, the son of Chelciah, son of Salom, and to the priests, and to all the people which were found with him at Jerusalem. At the same time, when he received the vessels of the house of the Lord that were carried out of the temple, to return them into the land of Judah, the 10th day of the month, Sivan, namely silver vessels, which Sedeciah, the son of Josiah, king of Judah, had made. After that, uh, Nabuchodonosor.
Nebuchadnezzar.
Oh, thank you. That is Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, had carried away Jeoniah and the princes and the captives and the mighty men and the people of the land from Jerusalem and brought them into Babylon. And they said, Behold, and they said, Behold, we have sent you money to buy you burnt offerings and sin offerings and incense, and prepare ye manna, and offer upon the altar of the Lord our God, and pray for the life of the hold on, and offer upon the altar of the Lord our God, and pray for the life of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and for the life of Beltharsar, his son, that the theirs may be upon the earth as the days of heaven. And the Lord will give us strength and lighten our eyes, and we shall live under the shadows of Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, and under the shadows of Balthasar his son, and we shall serve them many days and find favor in their sight. Pray for us also unto the Lord our God, for we have sinned against the Lord our God, and unto this day the fury of the Lord and his wrath is not turned from us. And ye shall read this book which we have sent unto you to make confessions in the house of the Lord upon the feast and solemn days. And ye shall say, To the Lord our God belongeth righteousness, but unto us the confusion of faces as it is come past this day, unto them of Judah and unto the inhabitants of Jerusalem.
When you
And to
see
our
that written confusion of faces, it says, but unto us the confusion of faces, it means shame. We should be ashamed of the things that we've done.
right,
Go ahead.
and to our kings, and to our princes, and to our priests, and to our prophets, and to our fathers. For we have sinned before the Lord, and disobeyed him, and have not hearkened unto the voice of the Lord our God, to walk in the commandments that he gave us openly, since the day that the Lord brought our fathers out of the land of Egypt unto this present day. We have been disobedient unto the Lord our God, and we have been negligent in not having his voice.
Not hearing his voice. Reread it more powerful, because these are some powerful words that he's saying.
Right.
He's
Read
saying,
19.
verse 17, for we have sinned before the Lord and disobeyed him, and have not hearkened unto the voice of the Lord our God, to walk in the commandments that he gave us openly. So he's telling us the reasons why our people are suffering the things that we're suffering.
Right.
Since the day that the Lord brought our forefathers out of the land of Egypt unto this present day, we have been disobedient unto the Lord our God, and we have been negligent in not hearing his voice, and our people are continuing to do the same things today. We are being disobedient, and we are being negligent in hearing his voice. He's been telling us, don't celebrate these holidays. Come out from among them, my people. Separate yourselves from them. And we have been disobedient. We have not listened. We've been negligent in hearing his voice. Go ahead, verse 20.
Verse 20. Wherefore the evils cleaved unto us, and the curse which the Lord appointed by Moses his servant at the time that he brought our fathers out of the land of Egypt, to give us a land that floweth with milk and honey, like as it is to see this day.
So he
Ne-
says, wherefore the evils cleaved unto us and the curse. What evils? What curse? The curse is Leviticus 26, the Leviticus of Deuteronomy 28, that we were going to go into captivity, that these things were going to happen to us. And we see it happening. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, we have not hearkened unto the voice of the Lord our God, according unto all the words of the prophets whom he sent unto us. But every man followeth the imaginations of his own wicked heart, to serve strange gods, and to do evil in the sight of the Lord our God.
So as he says, but every man followed the imagination of his own wicked heart to serve strange gods, as our people are doing today. Again, celebrating Christmas is serving strange gods. You're serving another God. You're celebrating another God. You're not celebrating Christ as you believe you are. Celebrating New Year's Eve. It says, and to do evil in the sight of the Lord our God. Our people have not developed a discernment to understand that things that they are doing is evil in the eyes of God. All right. So we're going to go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, and read verses 12 through 31. Again, what are we showing you? That the things that are going on today, the atrocities that are happening today, are nothing new. But in order to understand the perilous times of today, we got to go back and understand the perilous times of the past. What happened to our forefathers in the past? What kind of perils did they have to deal with back then? So that we can have open eyes to see when these things are going on today, so that we can do what? We can avoid them. Go ahead.
The Book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14, and verse 12. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication, and the inventions of them the corruption of life. For neither were they from the beginning, neither shall they be forever. For the vainglory of men they enter into the world, and therefore shall they come shortly to an end.
So why are we going to this? Because we just read that our people did what? We became what? We followed the imagination of our own wicked heart, and we served strange gods. We did evil in the sight of the Most High. And how did we do that? By following idolatry, allowing ourselves to get involved in spiritual fornication, and doing what? Inventing these idols. It says, for the devising of idols was beginning of spiritual fornication, and the invention of them the corruption of life. That's why our people are so corrupt. That's why we're in such a dire position right now. All right, go ahead and read on.
For a father afflicted with untimely mourning, when he had made an image of his child, soon taken away, now honoreth him as a god, which was then a dead man, and delivered to those that were under him ceremonies and sacrifices. Thus, in process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as a law, and graven images were worshipped by the commandment of kings, whom men could not honor in presence because they dwelt far off. They took the a counterfeit of his visage from far, and made an express image of a king whom they honor, to the end that by this their forwardness they might flatter him that was absent, as if he were present.
So if you don't understand what this is talking about, you see the same thing going on today. So these heathens are still following the same practice today. So let's say in this in here in America, you've got the president of the United States. So the president can't be here everywhere, right? So he can't be here with us where we're at in California. Some of you may be in Texas or Florida, New York, Washington. So what they do is they have what? You go into the Department of Motor Vehicles. They'll have a picture of the governor in there. They'll have a picture of the president up on the wall. The reason behind that goes back to what we're reading right now. Verse 17, actually, verse 16, thus in process of time, an ungodly custom grown strong was kept as law. And graven images were worshipped by the commandments of kings, whom men could not honor in presence because they dwelt far off. They took the counterfeit of his visage from far and made an express image of a king whom they honored, to the end that by this their forwardness they might flatter him that was absent as if he were present.
Right.
So it's a flattery for this president or for these kings that their pictures are hung all over the place so that you don't forget who they are. It's constantly in your face that they're the man.
Right.
Bow down. Even though I'm not there, I still got my eyes on you. That's basically what it's coming down to. But the next time you go to the Department of Motor Vehicles, you go into some government building, look on the wall, and
Right.
you will see a picture of um, Biden now, since Biden is president. At some point, you would go into some place and you will see a picture of Trump hanging on the wall, Obama hanging on the wall. You know what I mean? It changes with each president, with each governor, but pay attention to it next time you go into a government building. And you will see that what the scriptures are talking about right now, this same practice is still being followed today. All
Right.
right, go ahead.
Verse 18. Also, the singular diligence of the art artificer
Artificer. Yeah,
artificer
artificer.
did artificer did help to set forward the ignorant to more superstitions.
So it says also the singular diligence of the artificer, talking about the person that created it, did help to set forward the ignorant to more superstition, because only an ignorant person is going to really believe that, okay, his eyes are everywhere. He can see what we're doing. So we better bow down. You know what I mean? It takes an ignorant person to believe some of these things. Go ahead,
Right.
though.
For he, peradventure, willing to please one in authority, force all his skill to make the resemblance of the best fashion.
So peradventure means perhaps. For he peradventure mean is basically saying for he perhaps willing to please one in authority forced all his skill to make the resemblance of the best fashion. So in other words, he put his skill to work to make sure that he made the best model, the best painting, the best picture of this person as he could. All right, go ahead.
And so the multitude, allured by the grace of the work, took him now for a god, which a little before was but honor as a man.
So you can see the same thing happening today, that with Trump, you got what they call the Trumpers out there, that they idolize this man. They don't really, Trump is their God. Some of these people worship Trump so much to the point that they made Trump their God, and they're so dumb they don't even know it. They don't even realize it. Go ahead and read though.
And this was an occasion to deceive the world, for men serving either calamity or ty- tyranny,
Tyranny.
tyranny
Tyr-
tyranny did ascribe unto stones and stocks the incommunicable name. Moreover, this was not enough for them, that they erred in the knowledge of God, but whereas they live in the great war of ignorance, those so great plays called they peace. For whilst they slew their children in sacrifice, or used secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites,
So in other words, partings, revelings, they were having all kinds of strange parties. Go ahead. Like you're hearing about Diddy having, these strange revelings, these secret ceremonies, these strange, what are they calling them kind of parties he was having? Freak offs, they're calling them. Go ahead.
they kept neither life nor marriage any longer undefiled.
How many of these men are you finding out that were hanging around at Diddy's so-called freak-off parties? And many of these men were married. Will Smith was married. Diddy was married at one time, I believe, or is just in a relationship with one of these women, one of them. You're hearing about all these different actors and R&B singers and rappers and stuff like that that were hanging out at these parties with Diddy. And a lot of these men were married. So the same thing that was going on back then, they kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled. Go ahead.
But either one slew another treacherously, or given him by adultery,
Or grieved him by adultery.
or grieved him by adultery, so that there reign in all men without exception blood, manslaughter, theft, and dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumult, perjury, disquieting of good men, forgetfulness of good turns, defiling of souls, changing of kind.
That changing of kind is talking about the same thing you see going on today. A man don't want to be a man anymore. He wants to become a woman. He can change his kind. He can change his gender. If a woman no longer wants to be a woman, she wants to become a man, she can change her kind. She can change her gender. These things are not new. These perilous times that we're living in today is not new. These are things that have happened in the past that are happening again. Go ahead.
Um, so changing of kind, disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless uncleanness.
Disorder in marriages, is that's not the same thing that's going on today? Marriages today are in complete disarray, all messed up. Disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless uncleanness. All of these things, nothing new under the sun, as we read at the beginning of the lesson. Let me go back and read it again.
Right.
For whilst they slew their children as sacrifices, which a lot of our people are still doing, there's stories that I should have pulled up at the beginning also, still of women that are killing their children, or use secret ceremonies, or made revelings of strange rites. These revelings is talking about parties. They kept neither lives nor marriages any longer undefiled. See the same thing today. But either one slew another traitorously, or grieved him by adultery, so that there reign in all men without exception blood. Don't you see a lot of bloodshed in the streets today?
Right.
Manslaughter, don't you see that going on today? We just read stories about this at the beginning of the lesson. Theft, dissimulation, corruption, unfaithfulness, tumults. Don't you see the angry mobs that are all over the world now? These people that are, especially right now, you see these people going out that are anti-Israeli, pro-Israeli, anti-Hamas, pro-Hamas. You know, these people are out there in the streets protesting right now. You've been seeing a lot of that lately. Tumult, perjury, disquieting of good men. Don't you see it's becoming more and more frequent on the streets as our people are on the streets teaching that there are more and more people calling the cops on them now? More and more people are coming against them. More and more people are trying to cause harm to them. That I'm trying to remember that I mentioned in the last lesson about the Christian pastor that got shot out there on the streets. Did we talk about that last
Yep.
time?
Yes.
Yeah. So you had the Christian pastor that was out there on the streets teaching, and he got shot. And from what I understand, they still have no idea what happened. No clue. Even though they've got video from the street corner pointing directly in his direction, and all you see is suddenly he just kills over and falls down. They don't know who or where the shot came from, who did it, where it came from, whether it was a car driving by, somebody walking by somewhere, somebody up on the roof of a building. They have no idea. But somebody what? He was just teaching the Bible.
Right.
He may not have been teaching it correctly, but he was out there thinking he was doing the Lord's work. Nobody, whether it's coming from an Israelite or coming from one of these Christians, people don't want to hear the truth. They don't
No.
want to hear nobody opening this book up and showing them their sins. And so now you've had two situations. We've had an Israelite that's gotten shot recently for being out there on the streets teaching, and now it's happened to a Christian pastor. Why? Because they're trying to quiet the good men that are trying to teach the truth. This quieting of good men, forgetfulness of good turns, defiling of souls, changing of kind. We just talked about that. Disorder in marriages, adultery, and shameless uncleanness. Do you not see the shamelessness in the women nowadays that are openly walking around, now that they made this law? I know here in California, I think, is it nationwide or just here in California, that they've made it legal for the women to openly go out and, what do they call it? Openly solicitation. Now they can do it openly. They don't have to be afraid of getting arrested for it. And
Wow.
so now you go into certain neighborhoods and they're openly out there walking around in skimpy clothes, twerking in front of men's cars, basically trying to stop traffic and force men now, force their way into men's cars to get them to pay for their services or whatever. It's crazy, but shameless uncleanness. You're seeing it again. It's nothing new. Let's go ahead and read on. Verse 27.
For the worshipping of idols, not to be named, is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil.
For the worshiping of idols, not to be named, is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. You don't understand that Christmas is the worshiping of an idol, which is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil, as we've shown you at the beginning of this lesson. We showed you with all, not all, but a lot of the evil that has been going on since the Christmas holiday. And I'm just going back to what was going on from Friday on. And that's not even everything. The things that we showed, the news stories, that's not everything that's happened. Two instances: girl 18 years old, pregnant with a baby in her belly. Her and her boyfriend shot and killed during
Right.
Christmas holiday. 14 and 15-year-old brothers get into an argument over Christmas gifts, which is so stupid and silly, which does what? Caused the 14-year-old to kill his own sister who had her baby with her. He had threatened to kill her and the baby. I don't know, Lord, I'm glad the Most High or something put it in his heart not to kill the baby as he had threatened. But he for sure killed the sister. So again, these perilous times that we're living in goes back to what? The worshiping of idols, this idolatry that is plaguing the world. It is the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. These holidays are the beginning, the cause, and the end of all evil. But you will go celebrate them anyway. You will come up with excuses, come up with reasons to justify your actions, to be out here celebrating these wicked holidays when there is nothing good coming from them. Nothing except for a little bit of gratification for the day that you got some new gifts and you gave some gifts. So now you can feel good that, oh, I gave a little bit for a day. You can see the joy on somebody's face that they opened up a gift that you gave them. You think you're doing something righteous, but you're not. Let's go ahead and continue reading.
For either they are mad when they be merry, or prophesy lies, or lie unjustly, or else lightly forswear themselves. For in so much as their trust is in idols, which have no life, though they swear falsely, yet they look not to be hurt. Howbeit, for both cause shall they be justly punished, both because they taught not well of God, giving heed unto idols, and also unjustly sore in deceit, despising holiness. For it is not the power of them by whom they swear, but it is the just vengeance of sinners that punish always the offense of the ungodly.
So again, it says, for it is not the power of them by whom they swear, but it is the just vengeance of sinners that punisheth always the offense of the ungodly. Grab Exodus 23 and 8.
The book of Exodus, chapter 23, and verse 8. And thou shalt take no gift, for the gift blindeth the wise, and perverted the words of the righteous.
Read it again. Take this to heart. Listen to the scriptures. This is for all you people that are out there justifying the giving of gifts and the accepting of these gifts during Christmas time. That is not biblical. You are a part of the cause. You're not a part of the solution of our people being caught up in idolatry and the bringing about of these perilous times that we're enduring. Read it again.
And thou shalt take no more gift, for the gift blindeth the wise,
The
and
gift blindeth the wise. Go ahead.
and perverted the words of the righteous.
And perverted the word of the righteous. Go to Deuteronomy 16:19.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 16, and verse 19.
I say the
That
same thing. Watch.
thou shalt not rest judgment, thou shalt not respect persons, neither take a gift, for a gift doth blind the eyes of the wise, and perverted the words of the righteous.
So when it comes to all this gift giving, it's not supposed to be happening. It's not of God. It is not of the Bible. Has nothing to do with Christ. I pray that this is sinking in with people. Ecclesiastes 7 and 7. And I know there's one more, another one.
Um, Ecclesiastes. The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 7, and verse 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart.
And a gift destroyeth the heart. A gift destroyeth the heart. The gift destroys your mind. You see, how can you get on a person, correct them when they've given you a gift? And now it's like, oh man, I feel, oh man, he gave me this. So now when they do something wrong, how can you say, hey, bro, you know you're not supposed to be doing that? It's like, man, don't you remember I'm the one that gave you that? Well, why are you coming down on me? I gave you that. Remember that Ferrari I gave you? Remember the $1 million I gave you? I was paying you. Remember that? Why are you coming down on me?
Right.
A gift destroyeth the heart. It's a bribe. Is basically what it is. You as a parent, how are you going to get mad at your kid and swaddle and spank your kids after they've given you a gift on Christmas? Oh, my kid, they gave me, oh, that's such a beautiful gift. And then you forget all about that wickedness and evil that they've been doing. And that's what's happened in the case of that 14 and 15-year-old that were fighting over Christmas gifts.
Right.
All the wickedness and evil they had been doing, because it's been shown already that they were caught up in all kinds of evil. And nobody corrected them. Nobody said anything. Nobody did anything. Why? Because all this exchanging of gifts has perverted people's minds. It destroys the heart. It destroys your mind. It's not something we're making up. Go to Sirach. I'm looking up. So go to Sirach 18:17.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 18, verse 17. Lo, is not a word better than a gift, but both are with a gracious man.
Lo, is not a word better than a gift, but both are with a gracious man. The word of God is more precious than any gift anybody could give you. But you'd rather get a Christmas gift than to hear the word of God. Go to Sirach 20 and 10. I'm just looking up more precepts. I got a few off the top of my head. I'm looking up some other ones that you can go to. There's a lot that deal with these gifts.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 20, verse 10. There is a gift that shall not profit thee, and there is a gift whose recompense is double.
There is a gift that shall not profit thee. What is going out buying your kids a pair of Jordans? How is that going to profit you or your children in any way? Buying them $1,000 cell phone, how is that going to profit you or profit them in any way? What is it going to do for them? I've said it openly. I'm ashamed of the presents that I begged for as a kid. Now knowing the truth that I begged for as a kid and my parents got me as a kid, because all that was teaching us as kids is to become some little spoiled brats. Just straight up. That's all it taught us, is to just turn out to be some spoiled brats. And that's what you saw happening with that 14 and 15-year-old. Shot his sister over what? Some Christmas gifts.
Right.
We got to be honest about this stuff. Mm. Yeah, that's probably about. There's one more, but let me see. To get understanding of it, you're gonna have to read a little bit. Go to Sirach 41:21.
The book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 41, and verse 21. And to turn away thy face from thy kinsman, or to take away a portion or a gift, or to gaze upon another man's wife.
So you have to go up a little bit to get understanding of what it's talking about. It says, and to turn away thy face from thy kinsman, or to take away a portion or a gift, or to gaze upon another man's wife. Go up to verse 14.
Verse 14. My children, keep discipline in peace, for wisdom that is hid and a treasure that is not seen. What profit is in them both?
Keep going.
A man that hideth his foolishness is better than a man that hideth his wisdom.
Uh-huh.
Therefore be shamefaced according to my words, for it is not good to retain all shamefacedness, neither is it altogether approved in everything. Be ashamed of whoredom before father and mother, and of a lie before a prince and a mighty man.
So what's happening, the context of it is he's telling us of the things that we should be ashamed of. And then when you get down to verse 21, he's telling us to be ashamed to turn away thy face from thy kinsman, or to take away a portion or a gift, or to gaze upon another man's wife, or to be over busy with his maid and come not near her bed, or of upbraiding speeches. So he's telling these things we need to be ashamed of. All right. So you go back and read that one too. But the gist of this is that all this giving of gifts, exchanging of gifts, is of the devil. It's not of God. It's wickedness, because all it does is bring about the breaking of commandment 10. Grab commandment 10 real quick. uh, what is that?
The book
Exodus
of
20,
Deuteronomy.
19, 17, 19.
This, not sorry. Give me a second. The book of Exodus, chapter 20 and verse 17. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his maidservant, nor his maiden-servant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's.
So you're not supposed to covet anything that belongs to your neighbor. But covetousness goes beyond just wanting something that belongs to your neighbor. Christmas is all about covetousness. Your kids go to school to learn Christmas so that they can covet what the other kid has. Well, what did you get for Christmas? What did you get? Oh, well, my parents, they didn't have much money, so they just, got me some things that we need, like socks and underwear and, some little bit of clothes. And they're like, oh, that's all you got? I got an iPad, and my parents bought me a PlayStation 5, and I got a new bike also, and a remote. They start naming off all of it, and this other kid is sitting here listening to all this stuff and going, wait, how come I didn't get all that? So what do you think they're doing next Christmas? Asking mommy and daddy for, well, last year so and so got this for Christmas, and he got that, and he got, so I want this for Christmas this year. I want to ask Santa for. That's what this whole thing is about. Teaching the kids to break God's commandments, to learn to be covetous. And then when you become an adult, it's going to be real hard for you to change. Do you know? Oh man, it popped in my head and it popped out. Raise up a child. You know
Okay.
where that's at? Let me type it in.
Raise up a child in the way
Um,
he shall go.
yeah, in the way you should
Proverbs.
go. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
Proverbs.
it's in Proverbs, I believe. Um, Proverbs 22 and 6. I don't know why I can't remember that.
Yeah.
Proverbs 22, 6.
The book of Proverbs, chapter 22 and verse 6. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
So our enemies know. You start training a child from the time they're young to follow certain customs, to follow certain things. By the time they're old, it's going to be real hard for you to break that person out of that cycle. You teach them about Santa Claus and Christmas and jack-o'-lanterns and Halloween, turkeys and Thanksgiving, Easter bunnies and Easter. By the time they become grown adults, it's going to be real hard for them to understand and do anything different, or want to even try to do anything different. Raise up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not break away from it or will not depart from it. Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. So you start teaching a young kid. Why do you think these gang members start teaching these young kids at a young age about gang banging? You have a kid that starts learning about gang banging at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. What do you think he's going to do when he gets older? He's
Right.
not going to know anything but want to do anything but gang bang. You put him around drug dealers. What do you think he's going to do when he gets older? He's going to want to sell drugs just like the other people that he's been around. So you've got to keep that in mind when you are allowing yourself, because the excuse is always, well, we're just doing it for the kids. It's just for the children. But do you not realize that the celebrating of these wicked holidays is one of the root causes of the perilous times that we are experiencing? Because there is no love of God in this world, because everybody wants to follow Satan.
Right.
All right. Did we finish this?
Yes.
All right, let's go to the book of Acts, chapter 14, and verses 8 through 18.
The book of Acts, chapter 14, and verse
So we
8.
might end up having to, or actually we'll have to split this lesson up.
Okay. The book of Acts, chapter 14, and verse 8. And there sat a certain man at Lystra, impotent in his feet, being a cripple from his mother's womb, who never had walked. The same heard Paul speak, who steadfastly beholding him and perceiving that he had faith to be healed, said with a loud voice, stand upright on thy feet. And he leaped and walked. And when the people saw what Paul had done, they lifted up their voice, saying in this speech of Lycaonian, the gods are come down to us in the likes of men. And they call Barnabas Jupiter and Paul Mercurius, because he was the chief speaker.
So see how foolish our people are? Our people will follow anything. So what are they calling these? They're calling them after what? Greek so-called gods.
Right.
All right. Calling Barnabas Jupiter, calling Paul Mercurius, which is Mercury. And that's another thing that our people don't understand, that almost everything they have us following is named after one of their gods. The naming of the planets, the naming of the months, the names of the days of the week, the holidays they have, everything is following after their idolatry. And our people are too dumb to wake up and realize it. That everything you've been taught from a little child has been to get you to go against your God and his law, statutes, and commandments, and to follow after their gods and their customs and their ways. And now that you started as a little kid learning these things, you don't want to break out of it. In which we understand it's hard for a lot of people to do. For me, it was easy. For him, it was easy. For some of our people, it won't be that easy. But what is it going to take? How much more wicked and evil around these holidays and things like that is it going to take for you to wake up and open your eyes? How many arguments and family fights is it going to have to take among these holidays? We've all seen them growing up as a kid, that when the holidays come around, you get the family together, there's always an argument. There's always some fight that happens. We've all had that happen at some point in our families. And nobody's never taken the time to sit back and say, you know, why does this stuff happen all the time during? Oh, because these holidays are wicked. That's why. They never blame the holidays. It's just, oh, I guess it's just kind of what it is. They dismiss it. But at some point, you got to start putting two and two together and saying, you know what, two and two makes four. There's
Right.
something more devious going on here than what we want to acknowledge. These things are not just happening by chance. It's because there is nothing good about these holidays. Nothing. They may make you feel good for a little bit during that day, but did you see it? Everybody was holier than thou on Christmas Day. But the day after Christmas, when they were back out there on them roads, they were still back out there cutting each other off, flipping each other the finger, cursing each other out, seeing the same people going to the stores, cursing each other out, bumping into each other. Nothing changed. You just pretended to be righteous for a day, spending time with your
Right.
family,
Right.
thinking that you were celebrating Christ. It was fake. It's not real. It's not the truth. It's a lie. Let's go ahead and continue reading this.
Verse 13. Then the priest of Jupiter, which was before their city, brought oxen and garlands unto the gate, and would have done sacrifice with the people.
Listen to what it says. The priest of Jupiter, which tells you that during these times, these Romans, they had priests in their cities that did what? Teach the people how to worship Jupiter and worship their different deities and gods. Go ahead.
Which when the apostles Barnabas and Paul heard of it, they rent their clothes and ran in among the people, crying out and saying, Sirs, why do ye these things? We also are men like passions with you, and preach unto you that ye should turn from these vanities unto the living God.
So it's
Which
the same thing we're doing today.
right,
We see our people caught up in this foolishness, following after the deities of these other nations. The only thing we're not doing is just renting our clothes and ripping our clothes off and getting
right,
that angry and saying, what are you doing?
right,
Why do you do such stuff? Why are you following after foolishness? That's what's happening right here. He's like, man, what are you guys thinking? Says we're men, we're just like you. We're your people. Let me read it. It says, and saying,
read
Sirs,
it.
why do you these things? We also are men of like passions with you, and preach unto you that you should turn from these vanities and unto the living God. That's the same thing we're trying to tell you. You
Right.
need to turn from these vanities, from following these vain holidays, these vain idols, and turn back to the living God. Go ahead.
Um, which made heaven and earth and the sea and all things that are therein, who in times past suffered all nations to walk in their own way. Nevertheless, he left not himself without witness in that he did good and gave us rain from heavens and fruitful seasons, filling our hearts with food and gladness. And with these sayings, scare restrains they the people that they had not done sacrifice unto them.
So the people listened to them.
Right,
And with these sayings, scarce restrained they the people that they had not done sacrifices. So they decided not to do the sacrifices with this priest. They actually listened to them and repented. They heard the word and was like, oh, you know what? They're absolutely right. We're not supposed to be sacrificing to this Jupiter. Okay, we hear you. When are you going to do that? When are you going to follow like some of our people that you read about in the scriptures that when Christ and the apostles taught, they immediately repented and turned their lives over to Christ? You see, that's the problem with the Christian church is that you go to church and they'll sit there at the sermon and say, oh, we've got somebody here today Somebody that wants to turn their life over to Christ, come on up here to the front. We will go ahead and lay hands on you, and you will turn from your evil, wicked ways.
Mm.
And then people will come up to the front, put hands on them. They start convulsing, falling around, running around, screaming and hollering, and catch the Holy Ghost. You know, and then they get out and they'll go home and get that crack pipe and start smoking crack again.
Wow.
Light up that weed again. It's time for our people to stop following after this foolishness, to come back to following the laws and commandments God gave us the way he told us to. This is a serious thing. Our people don't understand the gravity of the situation. They really don't. If you read the scriptures, you would understand that everything that we're going through, we could have avoided as a people if we had listened. So when are you going to open your ears? When are you going to open your eyes? When are you going to see and hear what the word is telling us? Let's go to Romans chapter 1 and verses 18 through 32. So yeah, this is another long lesson. So we're going to go a little bit more. We'll have to save the rest for next Sabbath.
Book of Romans, chapter 1 and verse 18. It says, "For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men, who hold the truth in unrighteousness."
All these Christian pastors. For the wrath of God is revealed from heaven against all ungodliness and unrighteousness of men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. All these pastors out there that have Christmas trees up in their churches, got these little emblems or whatever you call these little statues of baby Jesus and Mary and Joseph in the manger, and selling it, setting up these little Christmas decorations in their churches. How many churches did you drive by on Christmas Eve that had their doors open and hundreds of members in their churches celebrate, going to church on Christmas Eve, thinking they're celebrating Christ? You saw
Right.
it everywhere. These are men who hold the truth in unrighteousness. They got you thinking you're being righteous. They got you believing that you're going to church and celebrating Christ on Christmas Eve. But in reality, they don't even understand it. They got you in there serving the devil because they don't even know. They don't even understand it. Go ahead and read on.
Because that which may be known of God is manifested in them, for God has showed it unto them. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Because that when they knew God, they glorified him not as God, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish hearts was darkened.
So it says, but became vain in their imaginations and their foolish heart was darkened. Go ahead.
Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like into corruptible man, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness thoughts, the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor
Actually,
their own.
uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts.
Right, again. Wherefore God also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves, who changed the truth of God into a lie, and worship and serve the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen.
Listen close to that. Who changed the truth of God into a lie? Who did it? They've got you celebrating Christmas, celebrating a lie. It's a lie. Christ was not, you see, we've done lesson on Christmas. I started to do ones, you know what, we talk about it all the time. We've given too
Right.
many precepts already just in regular lessons like we're doing now. You
Right.
know what I mean? This is almost like a lesson of anti-Christmas. You can't get away from because it's all idolatry. So any lesson that we do, you can always bring it back to Christmas, New Year's, Thanksgiving, and all of that because it's all idolatry. But who changed the truth of God into a lie and told you that Christ was born on December 25th when Christ was born in the springtime during the time of Passover? Christ was not born in the wintertime. Christ was not born on December 25th. It's a lie. And then
Right.
you go into the churches, and what do they have? They have blonde hair, blue eyed Jesus. What movies do they always show around Christmas time? You go watch the movie Jesus of Nazareth that used to come on all the time, where they had the blonde hair, blue eyed, soft spoken Jesus.
Mm.
Now they got the Passion of the Christ. They make all these movies and they change what? They change the truth of the Israelites, that they were, were dark skinned people, into they were all suddenly Caucasians. The Egyptians in some of the movies, they were all Caucasians somehow. Who changed the truth of God into a lie? Who changed the truth of this Bible into a lie? And
Right.
worshiped and served the creature more than the creator, who was blessed forever. Let's go ahead and read on.
For this cause, God gave them up unto vile affections. For even their woman did change the nature, the
The
natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burn in their lust one to another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error which was met.
All right. So again, for this cause, God gave them up unto vile affections, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly. Do we not see that happening today? Watch this.
Verse.
Just stop right there for us. I'm going to say, not share in a second.
Okay.
All right. So all I did right now is I just typed in P Diddy's freak off parties. All right. So let me share my screen. It wasn't even that hard to even find. Just type that in and watch the stories that popped up. Nothing new under the sun. The same thing that was going on back then, or the same things going on today. Are men wanting to leave the natural use of the woman, men with men, women with women? Show you how wicked some of these pastors, like TD Jakes, supposedly being one of them, hanging out at Diddy's freak off parties. TD Jakes, if everything was true, all I got to do is repent sincerely from my heart. But I ain't got to repent about this. You hear the audacity of this? Good, because I know the truth. This is the problem. These are the men you're following behind in these Christian churches. They have denouncing an unverified report, casting innuendo about his sexuality and accusing him of being a frequent participant, popularly known as Diddy. Televangelist T.D. Jakes called his accusers liars on Sunday and noted that even if everything was true, All I got to do is repent sincerely from my heart. That's why he's doing this stuff. That's why they do it, because they really believe that you could be as wicked as you want, and all you got to do is repent, and Christ will forgive you. That's white man Jesus stuff. That's not the real Christ of this Bible. Jakes, who leads the Potter House megachurch.
Every time he's reading, they take it down.
Are you there?
Yeah.
You notice it keeps happening every time I try to go to one of these. So now it's not even going to the videos. Now you just even go and try and read a news story, and you get kicked off all of a sudden. All right.
Every
So
time you start reading that, they take you
yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah. So they're trying real hard to keep this truth from coming out. All right. So you could go and look it up, but you can see all these little freak off parties that they're talking about with Diddy and all of these male celebrities that are showing up, and these pastors, and that are hanging out with these people. This Bible is true. It's nothing new. And likewise, also the men, leaving the natural use of the woman, burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving themselves that recompense of their error, which was meat, meaning which was good, that payback, which is recompense. God paid them back, which was good. For what? For the sins that they are committing. And
Right.
that's what's happening right now. Diddy thought he was going to be able to get away with this for the rest of his life, get away from this lifestyle, or hide his lifestyle. But those things which are done in the dark always come to the light. He can't hide it anymore. People are talking about it. It's coming out. All these little young men that he dealt with are coming out and speaking out. The wives of some of these men are coming out speaking out that their husbands were involved in this stuff. That they're, what do they call them? They play both sides, I guess you can say. Let's go ahead and continue reading. Go ahead.
Verse 28. And even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, and maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covetous, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of God, that they which committed such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them.
So you can see all these things come about from our people being caught up in idolatry, following after these other nations, getting caught up in this whole LGBTQ homosexual lifestyle and all. This is what this is talking about. These are perilous times that we're living in, that all of these same sins, all this same wickedness and evil that went on back in the day is the same thing going on today. And apparently, YouTube is not wanting you to bring this truth out. It seems, like I said, it was happening the other day. I was watching another Israelite channel where they were trying to bring a guest on, and the guest was having the same problem. Every time he started speaking, all of a sudden kept getting kicked out of the broadcast. And it thought it was, his internet connection, but I can see the same thing is happening now. It's not the internet connection. All right. So what we're going to do is let's go to 2 Timothy 3:1-9.
The book of 2 Timothy, chapter 2, and verse 9.
3:1-9. 2
Oh,
Timothy
3.
chapter 2, verses 1-9. We're going to repeat it.
Okay. The book of 2 Timothy, chapter 3, and verse 9. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetousness, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. Keep going.
Yeah, to verse 9.
Oh, verse 9. Now, as Jannes and Jambres withstood Moses, so do these also resist the truth. Men of corrupt minds, reprobate concerning the faith, but they shall proceed no further, for their folly shall be manifested unto all men, as there also was.
All right. So now we've just gone through, we've shown you that the scriptures tells us again in 2 Timothy 3:1, this know also that in the last days perilous times shall come. What we just went through in this lesson so far, showing you that perilous times have happened in days past. All right, it's nothing new, but it's a warning that as things happen in the past, they're going to happen again. We are going to go through these perilous times where people are going to become this way once again. And we're seeing it happen. So now the next part of this lesson, which we'll go through next week, because this lesson is kind of long, is we're going to break every one of these down. All right. So for men shall be lovers of their own selves. We're going to break it down. What does it mean to be a lover of your own self? Because that's what's happening in today's society. People are becoming lovers of their own selves. We're going to give you the characteristics of each one of these. What is the characteristics of a person that have love of self? A narcissist, somebody that's conceited, somebody that's vain, somebody that's proud, somebody that's arrogant. So we're going to
Right.
go through each one of these. All right. Like I said, we're not going to go too in depth with them, but we're going to go in somewhat in depth with them. We also have full lessons dealing with each one of these people being lovers of their own selves, so that we can show our people that this is how we got this way and this is what we need to do to change it. People that are, being covetous, a whole lesson about being covetous, being
Right.
boasters, being proud, being blasphemers, being disobedient to your parents, being unthankful. Each one of these broken down into lessons. All right. People think that when at the beginning we started doing this, so we got over 300 lessons all like already prepared, pre-prepared lessons on a lot of these topics. So it wasn't exaggerating. To put a whole lot of work into, and that's not even barely even touching the surface of the scriptures. That's why we're covering the milk, because there is so much milk to be given, so much milk to be served,
Right.
and it's being skipped over. All right. So that you can understand, we need to be able to show you these things so that you can take a look in the mirror. Am I a lover of my own self? Am I this way? And if you are, you can change, you can repent. Are you a narcissist? Are you conceited? Are you a vain person? Are you someone that's full of pride? Are you arrogant? You got to ask yourself. And then, we're going to go through and, if we can get to them, read articles about narcissism and things like that, go through scriptures that have to deal with some of these topics, as being vain and proud and arrogant. So being covetous, the same thing. What does it mean to be covetous? What are the characteristics of a covetous person?
Right.
Somebody that's a boaster. What does it mean to be a boaster? What are the characteristics of a boaster? What does the scripture say about a boaster? Somebody that's proud. What does it mean to be proud? What are the characteristics of a proud person? What do the scriptures say? So each one of these, you know what I mean? We're gonna go through and break them down. We'll start this part next Sabbath, because we'll be able to go through them, finish up the lesson. If we go through these today, we'll be here. What is it? Almost 2 o'clock. We'll be here till like 6 o'clock,
Right.
trying to finish this lesson up. So um, we'll split it up until next Sabbath. Remember, we're living in the last days. These are perilous times that we're living in. And it's nothing new. These perilous times, the same things have happened in the past. They're happening in the present, and they're going to happen in the future until Christ comes back, until our people repent. And the Most High at some point finally feels like, you know what, they've had enough. Let's go get them. Until then, we're stuck here. Until our people wake up and come to the knowledge of the truth and come back to our God, we're going to be stuck here for a while. Especially if even some of our people that know the truth continue in their wickedness. So let's go to Ecclesiastes 12 and 13 through 14.
The book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12 and verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. For God shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil.
And with that, we're going to say shalom, Most High Christ bless. Enjoy the rest of the Sabbath. Stay home on this so-called wicked, which is not tonight, but I believe it's tomorrow night, right? We're not going
Right.
to see you before then or talk to you or have a lesson before then. So, steer clear of this so-called wicked New Year's Eve party stuff that's going on. Stay home with your family. Don't worry about watching the stupid ball drop. I've never even watched that stupid thing anyway, even before I
No.
came to the truth. Never bothered watching it.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, why would you want to be out there in the freezing cold, to watch a dumb ball drop?
Right.
Looking up at, the top of a building to watch a stupid ball drop at midnight. People don't realize how dumb some of this stuff is. And you're out there in the freezing cold just to watch it. You can't, you see how the people out there shoulder to shoulder, can't move, you can't do it. You know what I mean? Stay home with your family. There'll be plenty of Israelite groups that teach on Sunday, because some of them I see on. You know what I mean? Get into the scriptures with your family, read, study, do something other than celebrating with the rest of everybody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? Don't be watching the college football bowl game, because all of that is idolatry too. All of it is caught up in idolatry. It's not by accident that they have these holidays going on, and then they've got the holiday bowls for the college football going on. And people are running around talking about the betting that they're doing. Man, I'm tired of hearing it, man. Yeah, played a parlay. I did. I don't even know what a parlay is. Do you even know what a parlay is? I hear people. I don't even know what it is. What is a parlay? I don't even know what it is. You know what I mean? But they're wanting to. The college football is going on. They got the NFL, the basketball, and sports, and all of it is a distraction. All of it is idolatry. All of it is following the ways of our oppressors. You've got to separate yourself from it. Get back into reading your scriptures. And if you haven't done it before, you can't get back, just do it. Get into it. It really is that simple. Open your Bible up and read it. Go find it wherever it's hiding. Take it out, wipe the dust off, and start reading, start studying, start, reading with your wife, start reading with your kids, and learn. Forget about this foolishness, and then watch the news, and let's see what happens between Friday, yesterday, and Monday, which will be Monday is New Year's Day, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, see what happens between Friday and Monday. And you'll be surprised at the number of robbings, the number of unalivings, and all this stuff that's going on, all this wickedness. See how many of these celebrities have their little freak off parties and all this stuff that's going on during this time of year, especially on New Year's Eve. So people get all excited about it. There's nothing to get excited about. All you should be planning to do is, when I know what I'm planning to stay home with my wife. Stay home, study, and stay away from it. All right. So with that, oh, what happened? See, I'm telling you, I think they're doing this stuff on purpose. But with
Hmm.
that, we're going to say shalom, most high in Christ blessed. We will see you next Sabbath, and enjoy the rest of the Sabbath day.